The silence is heavy, the papers are gone. We're shouting the question, the night carries on. Lock doors and shadows, they're hiding the truth. We're tearing the chains with the sound of our youth. Release the last, no more disguise. Truth in the open, no more lies. We won't back down, we won't desist. We want the names. Release the list. Release the list. Whispers in hallways, the secrets they keep, buried in darkness, but we will not sleep. Every voice rising, the pressure won't fade. Answers the road for the mess that was made. Release the last, no more disguise. Truth in the open, no more lies. We won't back down, we won't desist. We want the names. Release the list. Release the list. Show us the pages, bring them to light. Hidden no longer, we'll stand and we'll fight. Nothing can stop us, the message is clear. We won't be silenced, the world has to Release the last, no more disguise. Truth in the open, no more lies. We won't back down, we won't desist. We want the names. Release the list. Release the list. Release the list.
Welcome in, guys. Welcome in. All right. Welcome back, my glorious Tater Nation. So good to see you guys. It's me, of course, your friendly neighborhood potato, peeking out from beneath the soil, watching the world grow, and occasionally trip over its own shoelaces. And boy, howdy, do we have the story of the year for us today. And you know us potatoes, we have lots and lots of eyes. We like watching all the interesting things that humans do up top. And boy, howdy, it's been interesting. From culture to politics, from history to the headlines, from common sense to complete nonsense, bringing it down as only a potato can. Today, we're digging in, brushing off the dirt, and taking a good, hard, honest look at what's really going on. So grab a seat, grab a snack, preferably a potato, and let's see what the world looks like today through a potato's eye. And as always, before we start, I like to start out with some inspiration. Knowledge will give you power, but character, respect. And of course, that's Bruce Lee. As always, lately, I haven't been coming up with any of my own. Changed the background. Been messing with different backgrounds after the debate the other night. I realized that Tater Talks doesn't exactly work for a debate. So I messed with some borders and made this one. And then I made this one. I'm particularly proud of my camera border. Particularly proud. But, you know, I had to have a little bit of fun with that, considering I'll be the moderator of these debates. And so I'll be the dictator of what happens. Anyway, long story short, I'll get back into the actual stream. Thank you guys. Good to see everybody in the chat. Let's see. Where was it? Mars Larry. News, views, and truth. You were the first one in. DNA is my specialty, but I'm currently just starting my Epsom bath. Fair enough. And then more celery says she was the first like. So definitely like the stream, guys. Like the stream if you haven't liked the stream. Subscribe. Turn the notification bells on. Those kind of things, right? Stacy, thank you very much for joining me, as we are a little earlier than we had been in the past. If you're new to the stream, we started before 2 hours later, and now we're, well, an hour and a half later. Today I was a little behind what I wanted to be, but I'll be opening up the panel after I get done with my stream from now on. So I want to start a little bit earlier, and so we have time for both. Chaos Theory, as always, so good to see you. Vosh Mitt, super stoked about this one. Yeah, I'm pretty stoked about this one too. Bear with me, guys, because I will be covering quite a few topics as I always do. But my new border, you know, I'm rooting out the corruption and the disgustingness of the world, right? Putting it on display. Apprentice, good to see you. Appreciate the engagement, guys. Really appreciate all of you so much for being here. Leia, I'm pretty sure I've shouted you out, but I'll shout you out again. And Pot talks. Interesting. Thanks, Chaos. Moving through it pretty quick, so I'm not quite sure what we're what we're talking about, but thanks, Stacy. But we can always rewatch. Yeah, that's the best thing about this particular topic. It won't be taken down after I get done. I'll be able to keep this stream up, or hopefully. Even if I do get monetized, it will be able to be my monetization, hopefully. We'll see. Like the Frame Tater, I dig all the graffiti. It speaks to the 90s kid in me who fighting currently with the 80s kid in me. How do you only get one? That sounds peaceful. Yeah, right. I'm not a bear. Yeah, I'm not a bear either. No, you're good, Chaos. I've been moving through a lot. I appreciate the encouragement, guys. All right, so let's see if I think I have something that was kind of funny to talk about, to lighten the mood before we get too serious here. Let me see if I can find. I don't think it was anything real funny, unfortunately. I haven't been able to find much funny shit lately. It's been more of the doom and gloom, I guess. But this one was particularly interesting to me, again, considering what I've been talking about lately with the solar panels and what are we going to do if the sun goes down and things like that. And let's see. Where am I going? There it is. So this was done in Lebanon, I want to say. Yes, in southern Lebanon. Claims that Israel destroyed solar panels in southern Lebanon. So it's concerning to me, where I understand that a power plant could be hit with like a torpedo or a missile or something like that and be demolished fairly easily. This could potentially be an entire city of power grid. I'm pretty sure it talks about it being for water desalination plant. And then, of course, the just straight bombing that happened in Lebanon. So things are getting weird. Again, these are just kind of things that I came across and have been wanting to talk about for a minute. I just keep putting it on the back burner. So I wanted to bring it to the attention now, since I was trying to find something that's funny, but this isn't funny, of course. There's of course, tragic shit here. Let's see. Get out of this real quick here. This is a concern. I don't know if you guys have seen this happening. If you haven't seen this guy, he is usually pretty funny. Isaac Butterfield. He is a comedian, a stand-up comedian from Australia. Yeah, I know, Australians being funny. Oh man, where's Mrs. D when I need her? Please like this stream, guys. And don't tell Mrs. D I said that. I'm just kidding. Tell her it's fine. We all shun the 2000 kids. That's funny. Let's see. The frosted tips. Why did I do that? Why did my parents allow it? That's funny. Chaos theory. Don't be a rotten potato. Like the stream, or Dave will turn you into a mashed tater. For real though. Tater doth protest too much. Oh, I see. You guys are funny. And they're stealing the trees. Yep. Exactly. In order to put these solar panels in, there has to be ground, and it's taking up our farmland or our other actual oxygen. These don't create oxygen. They only create power when they're working, and as we just witnessed, it's fairly easy to demolish them, right? Let's see. All right. So, yeah, Butterfield, he is a funny guy. So if you haven't seen his stand-up comedy, it is hilarious. Good stuff. But this is not as funny, unfortunately.
Watch this really closely.
So I don't know if you guys noticed that, but this gentleman here that is picking himself up off the ground just got smacked by like 2 or 3 of those people in the crowd, and then they just took off. And here come the police to get the guy, the wrong guy. And then, of course, he's trying to defend himself. She got on to him fast. So that's that. You know that. There it is. What the hell? That was fucking obvious, man. Butterfield used to be funny, but then he caved to the socialist left recently. It was very disappointing. That would be very disappointing. Yeah, I noticed that, Dave. That was weird. OBS just took my mic away from me, like completely gone. Like, I went into my settings and the mic was not there. I had to go out of my settings, go back into my settings, and it finally refreshed. So I don't know if that's something with my computer or if it was just OBS, but I appreciate the call out, guys. I did notice it cut out on my headphones even. Holy cow, it's been a day apparently. Anyway, that would be disappointing if he caved out to the left. Anyway, she didn't identify as a policer. But yeah, so she comes up, she grabs a hold of him, he tries to fight back defensively, and then of course now he's in the wrong, and so gets all aggressive with him.
Okay, that happened pretty quick, but the larger group attacks the guy on his own, and they hit him, they sling him to the ground, they clothesline him, and then they run off. And then the police officer, for some reason, arrests the one guy. In this case, it's the white guy, rather than arresting the larger group of people who happen to be a different skin color to him. Which everyone on the internet right now is going, what the fuck? And why is he getting thrown in the back of a fucking police car?
With his life, bro. What the fuck? I just want to go home, bro. What the fuck? I just want to go home, bro.
So again, happening in the UK. So hopefully we learn our lesson as wise men and watch the other parts of the world instead of just having to have this happen to us. But we'll see what happens, right? So another thing that I want to discuss, I have talked about it before, alpha gal syndrome in ticks. Ticks have gotten crazy the last couple of years, this year especially. In the recent Google search that I did of tick-borne illnesses, not Lyme or alpha-gal, there are 3 to 4 primary illnesses that are running around in the cattle industry. So we'll be talking about this and screwworms here in a minute. going back to just kind of update us on what's going on with the screwworm. So all of these are illnesses that are attacking cattle, livestock. So increasing the price of our already high inflated cost of beef. Now, what we can do about this, I don't know. I'm just bringing awareness to it, to all of the people, especially in the cattle industry, to watch out for this kind of stuff if you're not already. And for people who might be looking to get into it, whatever the case is, right? Look into bovine babesiosis. And then on top of that, these three here are the highest ones currently in other than alpha-gal and Lyme disease. The bovine, let's see, where did it go? The top one is the bovine thielthirosis. Can't even pronounce this shit, but they've been starting to rapidly increase, expanding outbreak. So kind of keep an eye on that stuff. But again, going into alpha-gal and the idea of alpha-gal, there's a couple of videos that I've been wanting to show you guys for a couple of weeks now, to let you know about kind of what the idea has been for a few years. So this is a TED Talk in 2013, quite a while ago at this point in time. Hey Rex, good to see you. Good to see you. Appreciate the engagement. Please like the stream, guys, if you haven't yet. And if you don't know, Rex has his own show as well. Go check that out. Give him some love as well at some point in time. And Craig, good to see you. Good to see you. I appreciate the engagement and coming back and engaging with me here. So I'll go over this really quick. This is about 5 minutes long, and then I'll discuss an earlier, more recent engagement with this same gentleman. So we'll get into it here.
Could suffer hunger.
Sorry.
The biggest problems that we face today. Millions could suffer hunger, diseases, coastal flooding as a result of climate change.
So this is, again, back, when climate change was still all the rage and people were still making money on it. Now it's become data centers, and, since data centers, we don't need to think about climate change. We just need the data centers. But this was back in 2013.
We may be beyond the point of no return. Scientists believe that we have no choice but to consider geoengineering. This is large-scale manipulation of the Earth.
So this is, again, talking about what I've talked about in the past that people call me a conspiracy theorist for. Global geoengineering, which is the manipulation of the geopolitical, whatever you want to call it at the time. But this is particularly talking about the weather. So geoengineering. And again, guys, I don't want you to think like me, right? I just want you to think for yourself. Go and research this yourself. Go and look into it. And if you have real concrete evidence that negates what I'm saying here, let me know.
Such as spraying sulfate aerosols into the ozone layer in order to increase the reflectivity of the planet.
What was that now?
Layer. Such as spraying sulfate aerosols into the ozone layer in order to increase the reflectivity of the planet. But geoengineering is very, very risky. We have never attempted these technologies.
But we had. I'm not sure why he says we hadn't, because geoengineering has been being done for a while. If you look into silver iodide and look into the past of that, you'll find it.
On such a large scale. So we could end up destroying the entire...
Oh, okay, Mary. I retract my statement. He says on such a large scale. So yes, we hadn't tried it at such a large scale because it's very, very dangerous. But now we do have Bill Gates trying to dim the sun.
Ozone layer.
Currently.
I want to consider a class of solutions that have never been considered before. Human engineering. It involves the biomedical modification of human beings. I'll give 4 examples. Here's one. 18% of greenhouse gas emissions come from livestock farming. So if we eat less meat, we could significantly reduce our greenhouse gas emissions.
So again, we're going back to that reducing of meat consumption. So this was 2013. I will remind you, this was not just a few years ago that they have had this conception, this idea, contemplation.
Now, some people would be willing to eat less meat, but they lack the willpower. Human engineering could help.
No, I'm sorry, it's not willpower. My God, who created me, gave me meat to eat, specifically telling me to eat it after firing it. I'm doing as my God has commanded me, not my lack of will to stop eating something. Hey, JB, good to see ya. Just finishing my chores, too hungover to go outside anymore in the heat. Here, brother. I'm glad to hear that you had a good time. Well, hopefully that means you had a good time. Happy 4th, everybody. I know that it was yesterday, but I obviously didn't stream yesterday. So happy belated holiday. Anyway, I'll shut up for a second. Try to get through this. I do want to cover
some people
more.
Are naturally intolerant to milk or crayfish, like myself. We could artificially induce mild intolerance to meat by stimulating our immune system against common bovine proteins. And in this way, we can create an aversion to eating eco-unfriendly food. And we can do this, for example, by having meat patches, kind of like nicotine patches. People can then wear these patches before they go out for dinner to curb their enthusiasm for eating meat. Here's a second example. Our ecological footprints are correlated with how big we are. A car uses more fuel to carry a larger person than a smaller person. Larger people also wear out shoes, carpets, more quickly than smaller people.
So I just wanted to bring your attention to the fact that this gentleman has had this idea since he went on TED Talk in 2013, 8 years ago. Now, if you'll recognize him, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this isn't the same guy. But, I'm a potato. So if it isn't the same guy, I apologize. But here's where they talk about how we could edit humans for climate change. Now, this was more recent. Well, no, this was longer ago. My bad. 8 years. Apparently, I went the wrong direction in video. What's the word? Chronological order here. But long story short, this is where they talk about alpha-gal.
This whole
and maybe they were talking about that one and the other one too. But I don't want to talk about it all day.
Everybody here that in the near term, the research have the human right to what I call the fundamental capacities for pursuing a good life. Now that's kind of complicated, but it's the basic idea is that we all need certain capacities, goods, and things that whatever else we might need as human beings in order to pursue the good life. So take capacities, for example. We need the ability to be able to think, to be able to act, to be able to interact with other people, to have interpersonal relationships, to be able to think in the moral.
This is really low. I'm not sure if you guys hear it or not. I've tried to turn it up a little bit to be able to hear it because he does start talking about the Lone Star tick and the alpha-gal syndrome associated with it that we're seeing now. So again, this was 9 years ago that they were talking about the genetic modification. How do we edit humans? How do we edit humans? I can't stress this enough, guys. 9 years ago. So, okay, thank you, Rex. I appreciate that. Okay, so I'll let you guys listen to this here.
Okay, so those two assumptions, I think, give us a framework for thinking about designer humans. So what it tells us, one thing, is that we shouldn't create human beings who are not going to have all the fundamental capacities. right? So, for example, if you can create a human being with Tay-Sachs, so that's a single genetic disorder, and it's very debilitating. The child sort of dies at a very early age. We shouldn't do that, even if you can deliberately create human, once we have the ability. So the ethical framework tells us that we shouldn't do that. Okay. At the same time, if you can...
So I don't know if you've caught or not. I kind of skipped forward, but they're talking about genetically editing a child in the womb so you can pick and choose what that child comes out with. Now, if you'll remember, in the news just recently, we had something that kind of matched up to this story about a couple that put their kid to essentially unalive because they found out that it had Down syndrome in the womb. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to edit that so that you don't ever have to worry about that again. But in the meantime...
suppose that there's someone with that doesn't have all the fundamental capacity, it's already on the way, or has already been created, it's on the way. What this framework tells us is that you don't have to, you can sort of continue to bring this child to term. You don't have to abort it, for example. So this applies, for example, to Down syndrome children, et cetera, et cetera. And the
JB, I appreciate you asking. I'll be talking about that, hopefully, if I remember, because I'm a potato and I forget. But there has been a cure found. Now, the biggest concern that I have about your question, do you think that they'll put as much effort in finding a cure for alpha-gal as they have for other illnesses, is I highly doubt that they will, well, do they put in any effort to find actual cures at all? But I highly doubt that they're going to be trying to treat this because it's essentially, from what I'm gathering, a net positive, quote unquote. But from what I'm understanding, I could be wrong. This could be internet's hearsay, but acupuncture has been shown to reverse alpha-gal like in 90% or to 99% of the time. So there is a cure. That's another reason I wanted to talk about it. Is it's concerning how many ticks have blown up lately, and when I say that, I mean just the population has expanded so greatly in a short amount of time. It just concerns me. So I want to bring as many people's attention to it as I can, because there has been an actual passing from someone of the allergic reaction to red meat. So after they were bitten by the tick and they got alpha-gal, they ate red meat. It kind of reacted with them. They weren't sure what it was or whatever, and then they did it again. They ate red meat, and it ended up putting them away. So is it mutating? Was it just his body? What the case is, I don't know. But we need to be aware of this, because if they're expanding so at such a rapid pace, I'm concerned for everyone.
The reason is that all human beings have equal moral status. So this child has the same moral status as everybody else. And the analogy is roughly something like this, right?
Good to see you,
So
werewolf.
imagine that you're building a house, right? When you're trying to build a house, obviously what you should do is you should try to make sure that the fundamental...
Exactly, JB. That's what I'm concerned about right there. And that's why I'm doing my best to raise awareness for these things so that we can avoid them, or go to find an acupuncture before it becomes an issue for your area. Raise awareness. It's like the flock cameras, the data centers, everything like that. We just need to raise awareness for these things. And if they're okay, then they're okay, right? If we have to have certain things, we have to have certain things. But alpha-gal is not one of those. I can't imagine for a second. But no, I doubt it'll be profitable, so I doubt that they'll let it out. Again, Werewolf, good to see you, man. Good to see you. I appreciate the engagement, buddy. Hope you're doing well. I hope everybody's doing well this fine day after the 250-year celebration of America. Love it. We don't have Lone Star ticks, but here we have a ton of ticks, and Edgar has never been bit, but he was bit twice so far this year. and I get bit all the time. They like me. Crap. That's not good. I haven't been ever, knock on wood. I haven't ever been bit, but I had one crawling up my freaking leg the other day, which was the first time I'd ever seen one pretty much in my entire life. I know that they're around here. What is under the data centers? What is under the data centers? That's a good question. Do you have an answer? Just asking questions? Yeah, that's a good question. What is under the data centers? Normally, it's the water reservoir for the area, and they're sucking it dry. But anyway, I'll shut up and get through this.
Structures are all there, right? The water piping, the electrical wiring, and so on, right? But suppose that you start building a house already, and you find that you forgot the water piping. Water piping is missing, right? It doesn't mean that you have to tear the whole house down. There may be enough of other fundamental things in there such that you don't have to tear the thing down. Maybe you can augment it in some other ways.
Good to see you, Shepherd's Nook. If they haven't found a cure for Lyme, then I have no belief that they will cure alpha-gal. And it's funny that you say that too, because there was just a trial, a medical trial that failed for the vaccination for Lyme. And so they're trying to push it through. Pfizer or whoever's making it are trying to work the system to push it through. I appreciate you pointing that out, because now I need to do some more digging into that and let you guys know, because that is a concern. I'm pretty sure all of my community knows by now that you got to be extremely aware of what's going into your body after the 2019. But please be very aware of what's going into your body. Let's see. Been bit, but no diseases yet. That's good. So that's another thing about Lyme disease is if you get the tick out in a certain amount of time, they have to fill up, and then they regurgitate back into your wound or something like that. And that's what causes the Lyme disease. It sits in their gut. Where alpha-gal, it will sit in their saliva. So as soon as you're bit, it transfers. If you're going to get it, like if they're carrying it, and if you're going to get it, because obviously people are going to have an antibody to it. There's got to be people that are immune to it, right? Unless it's a man-made disease that just doesn't have, I don't know. But God doesn't make things that we can't fight, right? There are cures for Lyme. They just won't tell you about them. Yeah, Stacy, exactly. There are cures for Lyme. And just like Lyme with the cures, I believe that the acupuncture is a potential of curing alpha-gal. I don't have acupuncturist around me. I have thought about going to the holistic doctor that I have in the area and seeing what he knows about it. But I'm waiting for more cases and then go to him and say, hey, you need to study up on this so that you can make a lot of money. JV says, people are coming to the butcher to find meat that they can eat. It's crazy. That's concerning. So concerning, because again, going back to livestock, I don't know if I talked about this or not, but they were back in the day trying to do a smortion campaign on wildlife by shooting them with a hormone to make them think they were pregnant and then shed the offspring. And they've been doing this for years now. It's beyond concerning. Instead of just allowing hunters to do their job. I kind of going on to a tangent, and I want to process through to the next thing. So hopefully we'll get through this. But anyway, welcome in, Wi-Fi. I appreciate you. Lots of people infected with Lyme disease, and that's the concern that I have is we've got a lot more people that are infected with Lyme, and the alpha-gal cases have been growing considerably too. Werewolf says, avoid processed food if possible. The difference is crazy on your body reaction to it. You're not lying on that one, man. You're not lying.
Put the wider piping on the outside, etc., etc. So that's roughly the analogy. And then the third thing that I'll say is that some people think that we have a moral obligation to create the best child possible. In this some people think about, eugenics, they worry about this ability
Thought
to
I had the
synthesize
timestamp, but sorry guys, I didn't.
human genome. We can actually do a lot of things. So a lot of people are worried about, when
But you're not wrong on either one, right? Both. Yeah. Lion disease, yeah, and Lyme disease. That makes sense.
they
You're not
talk
lying.
about moral enhancements, they're worried about they see it as a zero-sum game, right? If somebody is smarter, then that's going to hurt my child or something like that. But there's actually a lot of opportunities for this to solve big world problems. So one thing is the climate change. And there, I'll just use, climate change is a really big problem. We don't really know how to solve it. But it turns out that we can use human engineering to help us address climate change. So I'll give 2 examples. So one is that people eat too
Got
much
my
meat,
hat.
right? And if they were
Got
to
all
cut
sorts of
down on their
hats.
consumption on
All
meat,
my
then
travels.
it would actually really help the planet. But people are not willing to give up meat. Yeah, some people will be willing to, but other people, they may be willing to, but they have a weakness of will. They say, wow, this steak is just too juicy. I can't do it. I'm one of those, by the way. So, but so here's
There
the
it
thought,
is.
right?
Finally.
So it turns out that we know a lot about, we have these intolerance to, for example, I have milk intolerance. And some people are intolerant to crayfish. So possibly we can use human engineering to make it the case that we're intolerant to certain kinds of meat, to certain kinds of bovine proteins. And there's actually analogs of this in life. There's this thing called the Lone Star tick, where if it bites you, you'll become allergic to meat. I can sort of describe the mechanism. So that's something that we can do through human engineering. We can kind of possibly address really big world problems through.
That's what we can do. So I'll again bring your attention back to the fact that this is labeled from 9 years ago, how we can edit humans for climate change. They had the Lone Star tick in their back pocket for at least 9 years. When did the Lone Star tick and alpha-gal become a thing? Have we had it for a long, long time and we just didn't know about it? Or is it a recent development that just kind of popped up out of nowhere? So again, we want to keep an eye on these kind of things as they come up. It's really concerning how this was 9 years ago, and we're just seeing it now as a problem, and it's becoming a real problem now. Hey, Bandit, good to see you. Good to see you. Appreciate the engagement, man. It's always good to see everybody in the chat. And again, if you would like to join, there will be an open panel after this show. We will be talking about what I have in the thumbnail here just shortly after this video. I just wanted to talk about this kind of stuff because it's been in the works for a while, and I've been meaning to talk about it. Again, like I was mentioning, the screwworm, we want to be paying attention to that as well, because there have been, I want to say 32 cases, 31 or 30 that have been confirmed in Texas, and 2 that have been confirmed in New Mexico, 1 or 2 in New Mexico. So if you aren't aware of this New World screwworm, please go check out my, I can't even remember off the top of my head now. One of my other videos has it. But they're releasing thousands, if not millions, of sterile flies in an effort to quell the females. So what happens with the New World screwworm fly is it only will mate once, the females, or it used to at least. Now, this is speculation on my part, but life will always find a way. We had, quote unquote, and they love this word, eradicated it back in the 60s. Now, if you have eradicated something, what is it that essentially telling everyone? You've completely eradicated it. You've done away with it. In the 60s, it was still around, or else it wouldn't be here now. So we didn't eradicate it. We controlled it. We had it under control in this area. Since then, we have lost that control. Now, what is that control loss from? Is it because they have mutated and started to smell the pheromones, the hormones, whatever flies have? that tell them that this male is a sterile male. I don't want to mate with this, and I want to find one that is. If that's the case, we're releasing thousands to millions of flies into cattle-prone areas. What could possibly go wrong? So if you do see any kind of possible infestation in any livestock, any pet, even in humans, it only takes a pinprick. So like a mosquito bite is all it takes for them to get in, lay their eggs, and once those eggs start to become larvae, then they just start to fester, and the wound will start to open up, and it's taking livestock. So please be aware of that. Just flies. How can you control flies, right? At least with ticks, you do have some kind of control, but they're getting mutate. They're getting resistant to certain things, right? Back in my day, I used to walk 14 miles uphill to school, or whatever the saying used to be when I was a kid, right? But lost what I was just about to say now. Son of a... Tells you how old I am, I guess. But we need to be really careful about these screwworms and the ticks, because the ticks, you have the DEET. That's where I was going. I knew I'd get back there. Long story short, back in my day, we had sprays that weren't as strong as DEET. We had to upgrade to DEET because things mutate. Life will find a way. So what we're doing for the screwworms, is it the right way? Maybe. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying we need to be careful, right? Literally got better when I started eating the food in Mexico. Went all natural and organic in California. I didn't change one bit. But when I went to a small town in Mexico and ate everything fresh, let's see, where's your continued? I guess you might not have had one, but these worms came from Peru, or I can't think of another country. Why through Mexico doesn't have them. Stop importing meat, and that's just it, right? Exactly. Yeah, like Stacy's saying, Mexico isn't having the problem. But we have the problem. We have 32 cases in the United States where Mexico doesn't. Well, I haven't really looked into Mexico because I don't live in Mexico, but if Stacy does, so she's telling us that they don't. So we need to stop importing our meat, and we have in areas, some places have stopped the import, so that's good. Bot flies freak me out more than bot flies. Boy flies? Maybe? Boy flies? Freak me out more than ticks. Well, and that's the thing is, flies, they fly. They have wings. They can move. They can cover distances where ticks, they're not supposed to. So why are we having such an outbreak of ticks, let alone the fact that the flies, it just gotten out of control. Have gotten out of control. In general, like horse flies, regular fruit flies, all of them. They're just crazy nowadays. Exactly, Stacy. I appreciate you pointing that out. Because I was that's where I was going with it. I just trying to move past this stuff, and not you. There's so much going on, guys. But yeah, don't use DEET. There are better things. I will put it in the Discord. Natural, not chemicals. Please don't use chemicals. Please, please, please. Whatever you do, try to stay away from the aerosols. Try to stay away from the chemicals. I know, like, that's just kind of tree hugger kind of stuff, but we need to start paying attention to all the little shit, because we can't pay attention to all the big shit anymore, right? Like this idea that we can cut back on plastic straws and that's going to cut back on plastic is not the way to go. That is not going to work. But cutting back on the use of chemicals in our water for our agriculture, and actually starting to put forth the work to keep it down with the insects, doing something more natural, right? So I've been seeing a lot of this UV light at night. They're now killing off the bad pests with UV light. What is that going to do with what is that going to do to the beneficial insects? You know, hopefully because it's at night, it's the not beneficial ones. But there's so many concerns with this new technology that they've been doing instead of just going back to organic. Bot flies. Okay, that's fair. Their eggs must grow in flesh. Yes, okay. I see what you're saying now, Wi-Fi. Thank you for the clarification, buddy. JV, right? Never thought I'd appreciate all the experimental jabs. I got in the army. Maybe I'll be immune. You're probably like a radioactive, like you just radiate like this power against ticks and flies. Are just like, nah, fuck that shit. Anyway, Shepherd's Neck, appreciate the engagement. Ticks cover huge distances because of the deer and the other wildlife movement. They really do. They're just covering the deer and stuff. Especially lately, it's getting crazy. Yeah, they can cover a ton of distance. Anyway, so this was done about a month ago, and I didn't actually drop many of these videos in the description below. I was mainly focused on the story that I'll be covering because it's a wild one. But this one, it was a month ago, and since I've been talking about water as much as I have been lately, I did want to bring this up. And this lady, she was arrested because she was trying to spread awareness for the concern that she has with her water. Let's see. We'll just jump into this real fast. So this lady here, she reported this water, and got arrested because she was trying to bring awareness to this water. What is the freedom of speech if it's not to do just that? To let your neighbors know this could be hazardous to your health. So this is concerning. And again, I don't necessarily want to go through the whole 6 minutes. I'll be moving on to the actual topic so that we can move into the open panel here before too much longer. But I don't know. I don't even know what to say to this. To have someone get arrested for speaking out about water, like for them to go and say, okay, you need to take that down. We don't like that. I don't even know, because this is gross. If my water to be coming out like that, I mean, I live on a well, so if my water were to be coming out like that, I'd be just dealing with it. But if I were to be on city water and my water to be coming out like this, yeah, pay no attention to the brown water. Oh, that's funny. Happy 4th to you and yours. I appreciate that, JM. Good to see ya. Appreciate the engagement, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Let's see. Oh no, it's Stacy. That's funny. Oh man, but anyway, this water is crazy. I just can't believe. Let's see, where was this? Dallas, Texas. So again, Texas. What is going on with you guys? I'm worried about you guys. Yeah, and that's the thing that was another thing about Flint, Michigan. I don't know if you guys had heard or not, but there was thousands of water bottles that were just left behind after FEMA left. I think it was Flint, Michigan. I don't remember exactly where it was, but there were, just cases, pallets of cases of water sitting there, and they had gone past their expiration date. And so they were just left. So we have all of this dead water sitting around in manufacturing plants and warehouses and all of this stuff. And then we have water coming out of our taps like this. Jared, good to see you, buddy. Appreciate the engagement. And if anybody doesn't know, Jared has his own show too. Does a good job with breaking down of like definitions and stuff. Smarter guy than a potato. Definitely check his channel out. This computer is in the cat's room, so it needed a cleaning anyway. Anyway, that's funny. All right, so let's talk about this case here. Let me do a little bit of Googling real fast. Let me pull up my story that I'd written out here. Sorry, I'm jumping around and you're like, what the hell's going on, Tater? Jesus. All right, so when we hear the words DNA evidence, right, most of us think of certainty, science, facts, objectivity. But what happens when the person performing these, the science, stops following the rules, right? Today, we're going to be looking into one of the biggest forensic scandals in modern American history. A scandal involving more than 1,000 criminal cases over decades of work. One scientist whose actions forced courts to ask, can we still trust the evidence? All right, so let me see what me pull up here. So her name is Yvonne Missy Woods from Colorado. And I'll pull up a picture of her here so you can kind of see what she looks like. And I'm assuming these were like her government, still shots during the case. Because I'm pretty sure this was in 2023, sorry. But this is her. If you could look any more nonchalant, I don't know how. After 1,000 cases that you have been reviewing for 30 years are now under investigation because you just chose to not follow the proper procedure. And how she didn't follow the proper procedure is wild to me. It wasn't just like it wasn't like people like she like had people around her that she trusted and she put the evidence into their hands and they took it and they did something with it and she couldn't find it. No, she just didn't run the processes through. Oh my goodness. So Yvonne Missy Woods worked for Colorado Bureau of Investigation from 1994 until 2023. For almost 30 years, she analyzed DNA evidence in murders, sexual assaults, robberies, and even in cold cases. She testified in courts and became one of Colorado's most experienced DNA analysts. So I have this in the description below, but this is one of their reports on it. Yeah, absolutely, Jared. Appreciate the good work. Again, I want to prop up good people. If you feel like you need to be speaking out, whether it be on your own or through my channel, I'm here to help you. Right? I have open panels. You're always welcome to come speak your piece. If you don't want those to go viral, please let me know, and I will keep them just in the lives. But I still want people feeling like they can come and talk. Lives don't really go viral. So don't feel like you're going to go viral on the lives, but I won't clip you if you don't want me to. But just know that more than likely you will be clipped unless you specifically tell me you don't. And even then, if it's hot stuff, I'll probably still have to clip you. I've got to get viewers somehow, guys. Jared, I'll be lurking today though. My kids are taking a lot of my attention. That's all right. I fully understand. Kids always come first, guys. Always family first. CBI is corrupt. Oh, that's interesting. I guess that's fair. Makes sense. So this was just basically just the and again, this is in the description below, but this is the timeline of events. So in 2023, let me zoom in on that so you can read it a little bit. September 2023, intern research project discovers DNA anomalies. In 2023, October, CBI opens internal affairs, and so on and so forth until September 8th of 2026, and that's the date that she was sentenced, facing 8 to 16 years in prison. Kind of getting off a little bit lenient, if you ask me. 1,000. This is 1,000 plus cases that are now going to have to be under review because it's like a judge. It's like a district attorney getting found out for corruption, and all of their cases have to be put under investigation. So we have so this is updated, 1,045 impacted cases identified in 2025. 1,045. And she pleads guilty to four felonies, so she didn't get charged with the hundreds, if not thousands, of possible felonies she could have been charged with. Everybody's DNA is a little bit different. Family members have similar DNA, the same but different enough for forensic people to identify the individual and everyone they are related to. Yep, that's just it, Craig. Let's see. You want to join today? Can I just use my phone? No, yeah, as long as you can access Discord and even StreamYard. When I do use StreamYard, you can use your phone. But yeah, you can join. I'm glad you asked that question, Stacy, because there might be other people that are questioning that. Yeah, you can use your phone and join Discord. You don't even have to be on camera. I'm not a big pusher of the camera unless it's like a debate. But I'm fully about anonymity. Obviously, I'm a potato. I call myself a potato. It's not like I'm going by my real name. I'm anonymous. Holy shnikes, today is the day. I'm anonymous as much as I can be. So I'm for you being discreet and anonymous as much as you need to be to feel comfortable to speak out. Because again, we need to be speaking out against this kind of stuff regardless, right? So we're going to be talking about this in the open panel, along with like just the freedom of speech and that kind of stuff. But long story short, this lady just basically ignored evidence is what she ended up doing in cases. So how was she discovered? Ironically, not another scientist, but a prosecutor, not the FBI, not a defense attorney, an intern. Fresh eyes. We always need to have fresh eyes. And this is another reason that I'm trying to get people to talk out, right? I call myself a potato because I have lots of eyes. And it's the fresh eyes that we need. Lots and lots of eyes on everything. In September 2023, an intern reviewing historical sexual assault evidence noticed something strange. One DNA sample contained a recorded male cycle threshold value, but the associated quantification data was missing. So in other words, she just claimed she didn't find any male data. So this, honestly, this not only is it going to should have men up in arms, because what are we doing allowing anybody to negate their job this tragically? But again, why can't we just have women doing what they should be doing in the home with their kids, doing the best job that we can possibly imagine that they need to be doing, not keeping track of data, not doing things logically, because obviously it was emotional and she decided she didn't want to include that data. Which is funny because you would think that women, being man haters like they are, she would include all of the men's data to hold people accountable. But that tiny discrepancy started everything. And investigators began looking at nearby cases, then dozens and hundreds. Eventually, they realized that this wasn't an isolated mistake. And of course, we have other reports from AP reporting and the first judicial DA charging affidavit summary. So we'll take a look at this one here. All right, let's see. Chat's going a little wild, so we'll see what we got here. Anybody have anything of importance to say? Wi-Fi, you're kind of lost. Okay. So basically what it is this lady, Missy Woods, let me get back to her picture. She was a former agent of CBI, which is Colorado Bureau of Investigation. She has been put up on indictment for getting data, letting data out, so that she doesn't have to do her job in full, is basically what it boils down to. Yeah, it's just escort, Stacy. Oh yeah, you don't have to be on camera if you don't want to. And this is exactly it right here, Wi-Fi. Every prisoner locked up because of her should file an appeal if possible. There was a case, and I don't know if it's part of the report that I wrote up or just something I came across. This I found today, so I've been trying to whip it up because it was a few days ago, but this is going to be something of importance people should know about, and so I wanted to bring it to the attention. And long story short, there was a case that did come up. Oh shit! What am I doing? This is Missy. Sorry, guys. She is the one who's being indicted, and she's just left out data for cases, for thousands of cases. And there was a case where it was basically brought up that she didn't do right, and the guy was let out of jail, that he's been in jail for years. His kids are grown. 16 years later, they're out, or he's finally out, and they're out of high school. He'll never get that time back, all because she chose not to do her job fully, right? Stacy, interns are overexcited, so of course that would be the case. That's fair, but we all should have fresh eyes as often as possible. We should all be trying to look at everything to the smallest minute detail, because being someone in the construction field for as long as I have been, there have been times where when I was newbie, I would see things that other people wouldn't see because they'd been around for too long and they were just thinking of the worst possible scenario first, right? Or they were going to the worst thing or whatever. Where I was like, okay, so turn it off, turn it back on again, kind of idea. And a lot of the time that would work. So we need to have some of those fresh eyes, right, on situations like that. How do you feel about government forcing individuals charged with a felony to extract DNA for future investigations or potential future crimes as well? It's a good question, JM. Try to remember that, and if I don't pose it to the panel afterwards, remind me, and I'll try to pose it to the panel as well, because I'm kind of curious on other people's point on this. How do you feel about government forcing individuals charged with a felony to extract DNA for future investigations or potential future crimes as well? I think that they already do that to a certain extent. I know that you have your fingerprint, you have your mugshot. So there's some certain degree of already logging some information. So as a felon, that's a good question. I don't know how I would feel about that one, but I would probably lean toward that they would lose that ability for that privacy, and you would take that, so that if anything else comes up, you'd have their fingerprints and their DNA on file. Craig, I think generally anyone arrested for anything who get fingerprinted like they do, and potentially DNA samples, should be kept on file. Yeah, I would have to agree, just simply because we already do that to a certain extent. And if we're not saving DNA, well, I guess I see what you're saying, because we do save DNA when we have it, but we don't always get it from just randos. So that's fair. Yeah, most tricks of the trade are invented by apprentices. That's fair. I was supposed to give DNA and I refused. That's fair, Stacy. It's probably a good plan. Hey, don't call it art. Good to see you. They got my prints. It's too late for me, boys. Yeah, I've been printed. I have a history. I'm not proud of it. That's part of the reason why I'm here speaking out against the degeneracy, because I was a degenerate. I probably still am. Probably always will be until God finally comes down and says, "Yeah, I accept you," or whatever he does, right? Let's see. Craig says, I think for crimes of victimization, should immediately check if their DNA is on a good match for body brokers and their clients, particularly for medical use. Yeah, that's fair. So what did this lady actually do, right, Yvonne? Well, here's where the internet gets a little ahead of the facts. Many posts claim she fabricated DNA, that she was actually changing things around and making it something that it wasn't. But that's not what investigators officially concluded. So again, we have to go off of the official statement. But instead, the investigators alleged that altered quantification values. So just left the shit out, right? Just forgot about it. Oh, that wasn't there. Deleted electronic testing data. So again, got rid of things that might make her job more extensive. She would have to fill out more paperwork or something like that. So she would just delete that data instead of going through it. Omitted test results. Reran tests without documentation until she got the results that she wanted in that particular case. Concealed contamination. Altered official laboratory records. So went in and actually altered the data. Not necessarily the actual DNA, right? But the data afterwards. She was manipulating. According to the CBI, there was no evidence that she fabricated DNA profiles or falsified DNA matches. That distinction matters, of course, but the issue was still manipulating data. So regardless, you're still manipulating shit, right? The issue was manipulating the test process and documentation in ways that undermined confidence in the evidence. And of course, if we don't have confidence in the evidence, what can we hold against the person in question at that point in time? DNA isn't magic, right? It's chemistry, machines, human judgment. And if we judge incorrectly, then we have to hold each other accountable. So how is she able to go for 30 years with no oversight, without this being caught for 30 years? Where was the quality control in this particular case? Imagine turning in a test, a math test, with only the answers and none of the work. I was constantly being told, you need to show your work. You can't use a calculator. You won't have a calculator in your pocket. I'm sorry, what was that? What was that, teach? But it doesn't matter. They still needed to see the work so you understood what you were doing. We have to make sure that people understand. Why do you think we are where we are today? Because of the simple fact that we're not actually making sure people understand what we're doing, what they're doing, what is actually going on in the real world. Wi-Fi, I was military. The government knows my profile. That's fair. That's fair. And military, thank you very much for your service, sir. I know a lot of military. They'll all basically say, don't give me credit, but I know what it means. And it's more than just thank you for your service. It's for your sacrifice, for your dedication, for your patronage. They're everything. Seriously. Anybody that has ever served, it doesn't matter what the capacity was. I might poke fun at some people. I think the crayon joke, right? I don't know if I even know the joke, but everybody makes fun of everybody, right? So understand, I'm just a potato. I'm never going to say anything bad about anybody, really, but thank you, military, at all, period. Thank you for your service. Fingerprints is one thing. Your DNA can be extracted for use to solve other crimes, other yours. And without convictions, it just seems wrong. It's a good point. But if you weren't, so it's like the flock cameras, right? They're building a profile on people who have never committed a crime in their life to make sure that they can never commit a crime going forward. Where we're talking about people who have committed a crime. Now, I do understand where you're coming from because of the simple fact that now if your DNA is on file, if somebody gets a hold of your DNA and like plants it, and you can't not consent on giving that data, right? Because you do have the ability to say, no, I won't give you that data, DNA, that saliva, whatever, until you have a court order. Well, now it's on record, and all they need to do is match it to the DNA on the scene, and then you're screwed. So that makes sense. And unfortunately, where I'm standing, I'd say, well, if you don't ever get in trouble in the first place, what's your problem? But where I literally just said about the flock cameras, good point, JM. I would like the demographics of her case and what political party she is in. Wi-Fi, I agree, actually. And like I said, this was just today. I came across this information today, so I've been doing a little bit of research, and maybe I'll dig in. Now that you pointed that out, maybe I'll start looking into a little bit more of that, because now I'm curious as well. I always got into trouble for not showing work because it did in my head. My teacher had me take tests alone with him staring at me. What a douche. Yeah, exactly. If you can do it in your head, you're kind of screwed, because they want to see that work, and it's not always easy to do the work, especially if you have aphantasia or whatever it is, right? The people that have that understand what I'm talking about, but you can't see the numbers in your head, which means you can't really do the work, but you can figure it out, right? I'll bet you $1 to a dime. I people are going to back that up. But anyway, long story short, yeah, I that sucks. Anyway, they're making us prisoners in our own home. Yeah, Stacy, for more than just this stuff, unfortunately. And with flock cameras and the Wi-Fi signal mapping your home, it's just getting crazy. If it was the status quo day-to-day operations, why would they look into it? No checks and no balances. That's fair, JM, but I mean, the no checks and no balances, that you're basically saying, what the fuck are you doing, right? Like, because we should have checks and balances. Like, there should be something in place. And I'm not talking about AI, right? Everybody's going to be, oh, we just go to AI, then they'll be unbiased and all that bullshit. But that's not the case. But we need to have somebody checking work. And I understand that's another job. That's another monotonous bullshit. I don't know. But it's like farming, and the idea that we pump hundreds of thousands of gallons of chemicals into our water, and that's why people get to say that agriculture uses more water than data centers do, when in reality it's not the same, right? I'm not the same, whatever the fucking song is, right? Anyway, the Static Age Show, good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. And if you don't know, Static Age Show does have his own show. Go check his show out. Been some interesting things going on his show. Let's see. What is messed up is that people can immediately find people's mugshot and then post it online. The judicial system says it's not in their control, and even if you pay to have it removed, it just comes. And that's just it. It's like this picture here. So I did the thumbnail, and it wasn't like her picture was, all over the place, but it was like, oh, well, I don't know about that, kind of a thing. It's like, this is a private picture. It's like, well, I don't know about that one. That is regardless if you're found innocent or guilty. Okay, so let's see, what am I missing? What is messed up is that people can immediately find people's mugshot. Exactly. Yeah, as soon as it's a mugshot, then it's on the internet, online. They can find the mugshot regardless of whether you're actually convicted or not at that point in time. That's true. Pretty sure that's what you were saying. Again, guys, if I ever get off track, I apologize. I'm just trying to piece things together and make sure that you get your words. I'm finally home. Another 15 minutes to boot up, and I'll be able to full mod. So again, if you guys want to if you want to be on the panel, right? We're going to open up the panel. We'll be talking about this, the other subjects that I've talked about, and just anything, right? I'm good to hear what you guys want to talk about as well. But if you want to join the panel, please join the Discord. The link is in the description below, or it should be. And when you join, you'll have to react to the rules page to be able to access the Discord, and then my mods will help get you set up in the Discord to be able to be part of the panel. Another major problem with flock cameras is the fact that it's a third party, private company selling it to the government. So the government is not responsible. Thank you very much for pointing that out, JM. That's another thing I've been meaning to talk about. They are third party. They're being sold as a automatic license plate reader, and now they're coming out with Bluetooth signal reception. So anything that is Bluetooth in your vehicle is now going to be tagged on your license plate, which means anybody in your vehicle is now going to be associated with you regardless of what is going on. If you're a Uber driver, for God's sakes, and you have a felon in your vehicle, now you're associated with this felon and you're being watched awful closely or whatever. Right? There's so many things that can go wrong with the idea of a third-party company selling your data to the government and anyone that they want to. Anyone that is the highest bidder. Because if it's a third party and it's not government controlled, who do they answer to? The people that pay them. Static Age. Yeah, welcome in, buddy. This is a wild ride. This is a little bit more like new. Yvonne Missy Woods is her name. Definitely go look it up. There's a bunch of CBI reports, Colorado Bureau of Investigation reports in the description below. All right, so let's see. All government's activities were where they are investigating. You should be done by the guys of the government, not a third-party agency. Well, and yeah, it's going to be interesting going forward because we want less government, but these private companies we've got to reduce their control somehow. Okay, so getting back to the story real quick so we can finish this up and we'll open up the panel and we'll discuss what you guys want to discuss then. And of course, I'll pose as much as you want to the panel. You don't have to join if you don't want to. But there were over 1,000 cases. So like I'd mentioned in that one point, it was 1,045 cases in 2025 that they had found. So to be safe, we'll say 100. We'll say 1,000, right? So 1,000 impacted cases of homicide, assault, robbery, and violent crime. And that does not automatically mean 1,000 wrong convictions, of course, right? I want to be very clear where I'm saying that they may not be a wrong conviction all of the time, but all 1,000 of them should be up for investigation. Because now they're under review. So some cases can be retested. Some convictions have overwhelming data besides the DNA in this particular case, and then others may require new trials. Right? Every case must be now reviewed individually, though. Yet again, going back to the fact that they're going to have to put all of them under review again to make sure that the DNA information was correct. Yeah, we need to make data a business. Make a data business. We seriously though, that's where the money's at. Don't call it art. I don't know if I could get on that train though. Unfortunately. Craig, I bet insurance companies use this for some kind of clause in some policy for commercial use, drivers to buy. Yeah, unfortunately, probably. Good possibility. And it's probably more than just that. Probably more than just that, unfortunately. Predicaments are most profitable. That's why the psychology of selling a product is to create or present a problem than to fix said problem. Where's the link to join, you mean, Craig? That'll be, you're part of the Discord, so all you'll need to do is join the vetting room. And do we have somebody in the vetting room? Bear with me, guys, here. Sorry. So we don't have anybody in the vetting room yet, but I'll be wrapping up here before too much longer. So if there is, there is a mod available, go ahead and hop into the the vetting room, and we'll start vetting people out and start the panel here in a bit. I'm not sure exactly how long it'll be that I have to rant on about this, but yeah, anybody that wants to join, it's in the Discord. Go to the vetting room, the Tater Talks vetting room. No, you're good. Sorry, Boss the Storm has been hanging out over the neighborhood. Valley finally decided to hike it up to the ridge of ours. Signal is going to be slow, but hopefully it passes quickly. I'll be there ASAP. Okay, so again, if you if the mods aren't available, and I'll make it work, just go into the Tater Talks vetting room, and I'll just do it in the vetting room. And I'll just be explicit about TOS and things like that when I get in there. But we'll figure it out. I'll make sure you guys have a word if you want it. A lot of the data centers are not for AI, but are for other information gathering technologies. The government using it against you. Yes, JM. Flock cameras, Bitcoin operations, all sort. There are 5 different types of data centers. So when we hear data centers, we have to understand there's 5 different types, and they scale from small to extremely large, such like Kevin O'Leary's data center that's going in Utah that's over 10,000 square acres. 10,000 acres. I don't think people comprehend or can even comprehend the extent of what we're talking about when we say 10,000 square acres of land being taken up with one operation. It may be multiple buildings. I don't know exactly how data centers work, but 100,000 or 10,000, 10,000 acres will be taken up, gone, used forever. It'll never go away. All right, so back to the story at hand. The charges in 2025, prosecutors filed 102 felony counts. 102. And she got 4, apparently. So these included cybercrime, first-degree perjury, forgery, and attempting to influence a public servant. Investigators' alleged misconduct Investigators' alleged misconduct occurring between 2008 and 2023. The guilty plea in 2026 pled guilty to cybercrime, perjury, forgery, and attempting to influence a public servant. So those 4 charges are what she's being sent to prison for 8 to 16 years for. So again, as far as I'm concerned, this is kind of a drop in the bucket when we're talking about people that could be serving life in prison and are getting out 30 years later because it's been going on for 30 years. That first case is now under investigation. If they get let out, that's ridiculous. That's 30 years without a life. Yeah, Static. I understand Static Age. It's been interesting lately. I want to make sure that people know what they should be doing on the panels. I've had a couple of issues, so I just wanted to make sure that people understand. And then once we get a good grasp of what happens on the panels, then we can do that. Let's see. The government should be printing their own cash and collecting their own data. I'm just like the Federal Reserve should be abolished. That's fair. Yeah, I was going to say they shouldn't be printing their own cash, but yeah, that makes sense. Get rid of the Federal Reserve. Make the U.S. government the one in charge of the cash, and that would make sense. All right. So the bigger story to me, this isn't about just one scientist, right? This is not about one analyst. It's about the system. How did this allegedly continue for years? Like I'd mentioned before, where were the checks and balances of this? The CBI internal reports say there were concerns raised in 2014, again in 2018. when Woods was temporarily removed from DNA casework after an accusation of data manipulation. She was later reinstated, and the report states the results of the 2018 review are not escalated to then CBI leadership. Those are internal questions worth asking. Were audits sufficient? Were we even doing what we were supposed to be doing to make sure this shit actually were being audits done? Were peer reviews effective? Were peers even reviewing the information at all? Did supervisors have enough information about it? Were they involved? Or were they just sitting on their tuchus, waiting for things to go wrong? Then they would come in and take a look. And of course, could stronger oversight have been detected oversight could have been detected problems sooner? Probably. If there were concerns raised in 2014 and 2018, I would say that oversight could have been stronger and this could have been avoided. See, Tater has ops. Did I do it right, Bill Youngs? Missing something, I think. I say screw the federal bank debt. We owe them. We need to indict the banksters that have climbed that debt. We didn't create the debt. It was the pay. It was. I could go on for many days on the infrastructure that is built, paid for by these big banks, creating debt, essentially, because they either get bailed out like GM back in the day, or get government subsidies like the windmills and the solar panels. Whatever the case is, they're getting tax money. And I could go on for days about these buildings that are billions of dollars worth of infrastructure that is left to rot because somebody didn't do the oversight needed to make sure that they were doing it properly. When they found that it wasn't being done properly, they abandoned it. What happens? Who cleans it up? Who makes sure that we can continue to use our natural resources? Nobody. That needs to change. Let's see. Yeah, unfortunately, Wi-Fi, that's the thing. What are they going to do about it? Yeah, that's probably what they'll do about it. Oh, geez, Static Age, that's ridiculous. I'm not looking forward to it. I know it's probably going to fucking happen. Yes, yeah, Craig, that vetting room. Yep. Same as Thursday. We'll be doing it in the same room. I'll just call it Tater Talks on Sundays afternoon. We'll figure something out, but that'll be the same room for now. JM Tip, you're 100% correct. As someone who worked in critical infrastructure data centers, I can tell you people don't have a clue as to what's really going on. Yeah, unfortunately, that's just it, JM. And the things that I know would make people stay up at night, and so I don't share a lot of the things that I know. I don't want to scare people. I just want to bring awareness to thinking for yourself and finding it on your own time when you're ready to understand these kind of things. Federal bank has no military. We can punk them, right? All right. So what does this prove? Well, DNA science. No, it's not. It's not fake, but it can be faked. It can be manipulated. That's a problem. Every conviction involving Woods is wrong. Probably not. Right? There could be some that is just simply that overwhelmingly guilty for other reasons than DNA. And then she framed innocent people using DNA. I'm going to say no. But unfortunately, it's a possibility. So if it's a possibility here, where else is the possibility? Where else is this going on that we're not seeing happening? Right? These claims go beyond what investigations have publicly established. So what are they not telling us? right? They're always going to have something that's happening behind the scenes that they're not going to release into the information so we understand it. They'll always keep us in the dark. The similar situation has happened with testing in labs on criminal cases. Yep. That one doesn't surprise me, unfortunately, because there's too much money involved when it comes to that scene. There could have been money involved with this too, with the way that she's, again, I don't know much about this lady. I haven't seen the actual court cases, but the pictures that I keep pulling up are not necessarily like, she doesn't look like she's upset. I'm not seeing anywhere that she's crying in these pictures. There's no remorse in this lady. Does she even feel bad about putting people away for years? How many of these are actually, anyway, you get what I'm saying. Like I've mentioned before, women should be allowed to stay at home with their kids, not forced into positions where they have to deal with this kind of stress, this kind of responsibility. But what does this show? Right? Well, it demonstrates something equally important. Scientific evidence is not only as scientific evidence is only as trustworthy as the procedures, the documentation that's actually truthful, the oversight that's making sure that the document is truthful, and the integrity of the people producing it. So again, we need to get back to self-respect. We need to get back to integrity. I'll continue to say this until the day I either get forced offline or I roll over in my grave. We need to bring integrity back. We need to bring self-respect back, and we need to bring accountability for each other back to the world, to the nation, if nothing else, to Tater Nation. And that's one thing I will be doing until I'm done, one way or another. So one thing I will always say, don't blindly trust institutions. Don't ever blindly trust anyone, including me. Think for yourself, please. But don't blindly distrust them either. We have to have structure. We have to have a hierarchy of sorts to be able to have a working, functioning, put those two words together. My faucet crew, they'll understand. But in order to have a functioning society, we have to have those institutions that work on our behalf. So trust should be earned and continuously verified through accountability, integrity, and oversight. Like I've said over and over again, because when one person can affect over 1,000 criminal cases, it reminds us that even the strongest system depends upon ordinary people choosing integrity every single day. And no matter what we do, we cannot allow AI to take over that. That is always going to be human intuition that works the best when it comes to human error. You like that, Chaos? I figured maybe we'll figure out an emoji for that. If you're not part of the Discord, please join the Discord. I have many emojis and I have a lot of fun with my emojis. Maybe too much fun with my emojis. I don't know. But I hope they bring you a smile is all I can say about it. But anyway, long story short, I can't say that a man wouldn't do this. A man wouldn't just ignore data. So that's not my purpose of this story of it being a woman. Obviously, I will always be the one to say women should be allowed to stay at home and not be put through this stress this responsibility. There's no fucking way that I would ever let this slide if I were to be in this position. There's no way. There's no way. Anyway, Craig, there's a thunderstorm over here. Oh, crap. Does a faucet workshin? Does a faucet workshin? Yep. Workshin. Trying to figure out how we can make that into emoji. Some states even have torts, or limited as to how far you can sue and cap your recoup of losses from false arrest or incarcerations. Interesting. All right, so that kind of wraps up everything that I had to talk about on that subject. Let me see if we have... Do we have anybody in the... Okay, we have people coming up, working on it. Okay, so Craig's in the Tater Talks room, so we'll hop over there. Give me just a sec here. All right, can you hear me? Jeez. Nate, welcome in. Yep. They can't yet, but I can hear you. All right, I'll unmute you. Okay, so they can hear you now. Welcome in, Craig. Appreciate you joining. So do you have anything to start with?
I'm not necessarily. I was thinking about. I wasn't able to hear the stream once I popped on in the waiting room. I tried to have that play at the same time, but my YouTube volume was down, so it was kind of quiet for a minute. But I'll let you jump off, say some stuff, and then begin the conversation.
Sure.
Or we could probably, if you wanted to get into, I guess, anything talked about earlier.
Sure. No, you're good. Yeah, so basically it's interesting to me that the water situation where we can't necessarily talk about dirty water. How much will they throttle of this case? How much are they going to make us, not talk about the system and whatnot, basically, kind of a thing. Let's see.
I mean, I could say from my experience, as far as living in different areas, trying to get stuff done locally, it's it's kind of hard, but it differentiates. It's different areas. I mean, there's been times that when an area, like a town in North Carolina, we were able to petition and get the water. They were able to do something in that town. I haven't lived there for years. As far as my own personal experience, I think it's plausible, but I think not every town and county is going to be as easy. As far as, them ignoring what people say too, that's another thing.
Right. Yeah. Sorry, I was a little distracted. Again, if you guys want to join the panel, feel free to come on up and talk with me so that there's more people discussing. I know there's another person in the waiting room or vetting room. They're working their way up, but feel free to join if you want to. But we need to be starting to push forward on talking out, speaking out against what we have the freedom of speech. We have to continue to exercise that, or it's going to go away. Finn WE1, think you're new. I'm not sure if I've ever seen you before. Welcome in. Appreciate the engagement. You retracted the statement, so I won't necessarily say that one. But looks like you've got another language going on, so appreciate the engagement. Not sure what that means. Hey, Stacy, thanks for joining. Do you have anything that you'd like to say?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. And again, guys, we join the panel and we'll come up with some prompts here. So let's see. I had one that I was working on earlier, and now I, of course, can't remember it on the spot. But what are some things that we can do to try to make sure that we're having the oversight that we need to on these DNA cases? Any ideas on that?
I don't know. I'm pretty black pilled.
Yeah, I know the
Like,
feeling.
I'm like, we're all screwed. Like, Jesus come. Like I don't know. I really don't know. I think that it would have to be a whole overhaul of everything. I think there's just so much corruption everywhere. I don't know. Like, I mean, especially living where I live, it's crazy how much corruption there. So,
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I am right there with you to a certain extent. Just Jesus come, let's get on with it, kind of a thing. But obviously, who knows when that'll happen? And I don't know. We got to do something, because there's a lot of people that are just like, well, it's not going to happen in my lifetime, so why should I have to worry about it? Whatever the case is. But we have, evidence popping up more and more recently that we're going to have to deal with this kind of stuff in my lifetime, let alone my kids' lifetime,
yeah, I do think that it will be in my lifetime. And I have reasons why I personally think that, but there's no here's the evidence. So I can't, I mean, oh, I had a dream. Like, that's not going to hold up. But I do think that they're trying to crash the system and rebuild. And I think that's what a lot of this is all about.
Yeah. Well, and if you go in and look at the 2030, I think it's Klaus Schwab's 2030 book that he wrote, and these other, quote unquote prominent people in the world, and you go and you read their literature, it's basically preempting what you just said, so it's hard to say that that's a conspiracy theory. Everybody, they've changed the theory to be the conspiracy. Now everybody says, well, it's a conspiracy theory, and it's like, it's not a theory.
It's not
if it's
more.
facts.
They tell you exactly everything that they're doing. Everybody's like, how did Alex Jones know that they were going to crash the World Trade Centers? It's all there. If you just read the white papers, if you do your research, everything that they are doing, they tell you. And they tell you why. And they have to. It's part of their little satanic club that they're in. They have to tell you what they're doing and why. And they do it in a way that they can be like, oh, we're just joking or whatever. But if you go and you read white papers, you will know everything that's going on. My husband was so shocked that I told him in 2019, I said, okay, there's going to be a pandemic next year. This is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. He said, dude, you died. And now you know all this stuff. How do you know this stuff? I'm like, no, I'm reading. This isn't because I had some kind of dream. No, I'm reading. Here's all the stuff that they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
And then boom, it all happened exactly as I told him. And he's like, how did you know? How did you know? I'm like, it's called reading. And I found Alex Jones after all of that. And I was like, he's totally correct. If you just read what they're putting out, they tell you these things. And it's crazy.
Yep. Well,
and then you look like an idiot. You look like an idiot. You lose all your friends. And then 5 years later, I'm sorry, I was wrong. It's like, yep. And a lot of them don't even say sorry.
Yeah. Well, so Simpsons, right? A lot of people know that the Simpsons are one of the biggest ones that people will claim that they're the ones that are telling us everything that's happening, right?
Yeah, they do.
And they do. Yeah. I mean, if you go back and you look, there's a lot of AI going on nowadays where you can't really tell for sure if it's AI or if it's the original episode. But a lot of the episodes that they show, I have personally watched because I loved The Simpsons when I was a kid. So I remember some of these episodes that I watched personally.
Yeah, I don't trust anything so much anymore. If I see a video or anything like that, I don't trust.
Kind of cut out there.
Dreams? Oh, I cut out?
Yeah, you said you trust and then you kind of cut out.
Okay, yeah, I was saying I don't trust anything I see on a screen anymore. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't. Whether it's reading a book, video, or something like that, I don't trust it because everything can be altered now.
Yep.
And for the last, I don't know how many years, they've been putting out all kinds of stuff that's not real. Since the Smith-Munson Act got repealed and they can put out propaganda for Americans, they've been flooding us with everything. So it's crazy.
Yep. Appreciate the engagement, Static Age. Good. Welcome in. Go ahead and talk. Make sure your mic works, and then if you have anything you'd like to say.
I missed some of it while I was in the vetting room, so
No worries.
I'll chime in. I'll chime in when I'm ready.
Perfect. Yeah, like I said, I just want to make sure your mic works so that you can chime in when you're ready. And welcome in. I appreciate the engagement, man. Good to see you. Craig, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, I think a lot of this, we could start doing outreach, have little outreach teams of sort, which I've done that with different spheres and groups. I don't want to have to name drop, but
Right.
with different causes and stuff. And we had different teams and clubs and sectors. Like some for some of the projects I've done, how like those things called the little free libraries, and they're in the neighborhood, like kids have put their books in there. I don't know if you've seen those, but like there's these like little libraries that they have around the neighborhoods.
Kind of cut out there. Still with me?
Hold on.
Okay.
Sorry, how much did you hear? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. I'm not sure where you cut out, to be completely honest.
Do you know those libraries called little free libraries, and there's those things people can put books in around neighborhoods?
Oh, yeah,
I don't know if it's in every town. Yeah, that company that does that or institution, that one's anti-white. They go on their website, they flat out say this is like to go against Western culture, and they also say this is for people of color, which is really just means non-white people, and stating that white people are colorless non-people. But like they even state what their definition is by that, or just non-white people are in like, it's basically just discriminating against white people, also pushing all this, gay and tranny agenda stuff in there. But I basically, for one, against that in different neighborhoods, founded a bunch of ones that go against that. Basically, no, not even go against anything. It's just ones that it doesn't have to be Christian directly like the Bible, but just can't be anti-Christian or go against Christian beliefs, nor can it be anti-white or go against Western beliefs, and it can't be like pornographic or inappropriate for kids. And like a bunch of those also, example, did things where basically I would do live calls, telemarketing calls, and show people like on the phone, like, okay, we're trying to reach out and call these representatives. This is how we talk to them. And like basically listening in the calls and doing stuff like that. And then there's also, how you outreach, like I said, it's going to vary. It's like local politics, every city, county, state runs a little differently, how you have to like get in touch with people. But just like there's all different kinds of outreach you can do.
Gotcha. That's fair.
Also, I don't know if the thunderstorm in the back is, if you hear that, or if it's toning out my voice a lot.
I don't, excuse me, I don't hear it in the back. I've turned you up all the way so that I can hear you as best as I can. I'm not sure if maybe the storm is making it kind of low, and it could be the phones. Like I said, you can use Discord on your phone, but it might not be the best mic. Because when I talk with people on Discord on my phone, they'll voice that my voice is better on this mic than it is on my phone mic. But like I said before, I want to make sure that people feel welcome, that they can come in and they can talk to me regardless of how good their equipment is. Because again, this is the point of moving the conversations forward, getting people to come in and say, yeah, I don't agree with that. Right. We need to be more willing to let that happen. So we'll work through it one way or another. I appreciate it.
Am I okay?
Good to see you, Beatrix. Yeah, you're as good at, like I said, I've turned you up all the way. So we can hear you. I've made sure that in the chat that they can hear everybody. I've made sure that the sound is coming through okay. So we should be good. But I appreciate the checking to make sure everything is good.
I can try something else, but I might have to get off. Where is? Oh, that's already plugged in. No.
Wi-Fi. You're part of my
I've
Discord,
never
aren't you?
used the retarded headset, but
Oh, that's fair.
I'm gonna try to see. Maybe it'll be better.
Might be.
So did you guys already move on from the whole like corruption thing, or
No. So basically I've just been kind of waiting for people to kind of join and then we'll talk about the actual corruption. I was just talking about like the water and how we've been stifled on our freedom of speech and stuff so far. So if you'd like, if you have something, you feel free to bring it up, man.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think the system can be corrupted at every single level, even down to the well, I mean, obviously down to the police who are doing the arresting in the first place.
Yeah.
And all the way up to the judges, as we've seen these past few years with Trump and whatnot.
Good to see you, birds. Good to see you.
Something I've noticed, I'm not like anti-police or anything like that. I think there are good cops and there are bad cops.
That's fair, Wi-Fi.
But something I've noticed is the majority of police officers are Freemasons. And I think that kind of lends itself to corruption.
Well, I would agree. I mean, anytime that you've got what would be the right term, a higher group that you consider a higher group or a higher calling or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and that's why you'll see license plates that have the Masonic symbol on them. That's so that when the police pull you over, they know that you're one of their brothers,
and they let you go.
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah, that's I can see that. If you guys don't know in the chat about the Freemasons, it's a wild rabbit hole. Definitely go down it. It's been quite a few prominent members amongst our government that have been part of the Freemasons. Now, the Freemasons isn't the government, but they're part of the government.
They played a big role in starting the government. They played a big role in everything.
Yeah.
All over the world. So people always say it's a certain group of people that run the world, but it's not exactly true. It's the certain group of people plus the Freemasons plus another set of people.
Yeah.
So
unfortunately, there's a lot of misinformation out there about them. A lot of it is true, but a lot of it is sort of like lizard people, conspiracy theory level stuff. It's not necessarily true.
And I know people that are good people that are in Freemasons, but they're not like 33 degree. So, I mean, there are good people in Freemasons. Just,
Yeah.
Are you saying you don't believe in the lizard people?
They kind of
we won't go down
intentionally mislead the lower degrees. If you read their books, they intentionally mislead the lower degrees and don't really.
Have you never heard about these rabbit holes that we're talking about?
Exactly.
That's funny.
But they do, when you get into the higher degrees.
Oh, Wi-Fi, you joined, right on.
Explain who their god is. So
yeah, if you can figure it out, get to the vetting room, and I'm
little
sure
hairy up
Prentice
there.
will help you. Fair.
Is this better? Is this mic better?
I think so. I still have you turned up all the way, but I think it's clearer than it was before. So
Okay, I'm on the computer now, so
Yeah, it's
I
definitely.
don't know how to use the camera on this computer though, so this is my first time using this headset.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, it sounds more clear for sure now.
Okay.
And Beatrix says, absolutely not true. Most things cops related have been on video, so cops don't get to let things go. Concern
Well,
there
maybe now.
is maybe now, but in past
They let it go in the court.
Yeah,
They definitely let them go in the court.
now
I've
it's just
seen
done
it
behind the
happen.
scenes rather than in
Right.
front of everybody.
Yeah. It's funny because I left the United States before all the cameras everywhere and all of this. And
Mhm.
so my experience in the States is still pre 2013.
Mm.
So a lot has changed.
A lot has
and
changed,
I
yeah.
swear, since 2013, I don't recognize anything that's going on in the States. It
Oh, I can
breaks
imagine.
my heart.
I can imagine.
It's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, things are getting wild in the States, and where body cameras, like Beatrix is saying, body cameras, like we've just discussed, they've come great lengths since back in the day, where they can't turn them off, they can't pause them, they don't have as much control over the newer ones now. But 5 years ago, they could pause them, they could stop them, they could do whatever they want to, and just like the bricks and minifigs story that we just came across. That I covered a while ago, they did mute their cameras. Like they had unredacted information that came out, and it wasn't for privacy reasons that these were redacted. So even to this day, we've got the issue of corruption in the police force, the courts, and with that being the case, if they're for the Mormon brothers, if that was the case, I'm not saying it was, but I'm not saying it wasn't either. But if they're doing it, then what's to say that they're not doing it on a higher level, such as the people who built the country, which is Freemasons? So it's interesting to think about when you really dive into it, for sure.
Yeah, the body cams don't get rid of corruption.
Well, and that's just
It's first of all, only patrol officers are the ones wearing body cams. The chief isn't wearing a body cam. The desk workers aren't wearing body cams. The detectives aren't wearing body cams usually. And I mean, there's plenty of cases where they're still, they've been caught afterwards, still doing corrupt things, even when they are wearing a body cam.
Yeah.
I mean, they aren't reviewing every single second of their body cams. They go to a server, and then if something happens, then they pull it and review it. But there's not someone there just monitoring every body cam all the time.
That's fair, Beatrix. Yeah, that's fair. But that's just it. Static Age is the dive that I went down on the body cam hole was that it is, so there's a buffer of like 30 seconds or something like that. So anybody that's watched The Rookie, where the young black kid reaches up and grabs the white guy's camera and turns it on, it's got a 2-minute buffer, and he's like, oh crap, and he just watches the whole thing go down. That is to a certain extent how it works in reality. Because like Static Age is saying, it doesn't save everything on a server. It just recirculates that 30-second buffer until they start their camera. And then once that starting of the camera happens, it goes back that 30 seconds, gives them the 30 seconds of information, and then goes forward. And so they have been doing what they have to change that or whatever, but it doesn't change the fact that it has been this way up until this point, if not longer, right? So we have to think about that. But anyway. But yeah, Leia Belbea says she's going to do a video on the bricks and minifigs as well. And there she is. Good to have you on the panel, Leia. Appreciate the engagement. Did you want to say anything on the bricks and minifigs video that you're going to make while you're here?
Oh, I can. Did I interrupt you though? Because last I was listening on YouTube, I feel like you were talking. You can finish whatever you were.
You're good. I just gave it to the panel. They were kind of quiet, so I was. You can have the floor if they have something to say. They can jump in.
Okay, yeah, like with I was just saying with the bricks and minifigs thing that yeah, hold on, that I still got to do a video on it because I've got all the information kind of, you know, ready to go.
Right.
But that's a very interesting story of corruption and of, like you said, muting body cams. Beatrice brought up a point. They tried to redact the information, which is super interesting.
That's
but they
fair,
really thought they were going to get away with
and
that.
again, if you want
I'm
to
not
join
sure if these people are
Discord,
just not used to
feel free
dealing with
I'd love to hear
citizens that care enough to ask for body cam footage, or YouTubers if they've never seen a YouTube video of somebody asking for footage.
I can only
They
imagine why.
seem
I'm
pretty,
sorry, I'm sorry, brother.
long in the tooth, I guess. A lot of the people they talked to were kind of older. Maybe they just didn't really grasp how far it was going to go. Or maybe they didn't care. Like you brought up, maybe they were part of the club, so
right.
To heck with it, you know, they were going to go down together. But it's really wild.
Right. Yep. Let's see. Sorry, I got distracted. Okay, so yeah, so it's just interesting to me to see the corruption that we have going on, and then it's almost blatant to the point where even as we advance with technology and we're pushing these data centers and we're pushing the water usage and the electronic usage and the electrical usage, and then that would then raise our electric and water prices, if not using our water to the point where we don't have any more. It doesn't change the fact that with all this push toward technology, it's not changing the fact that we can still be as corrupt as fuck. So we need to start doing something to actually curb that corruption and not just push forward with AI so that we get even worse with corruption, because it's not helping anything.
Yeah, I completely agree. I know when we talked about body cams on one of your streams before, I had proposed, I'm sure, an idea or two. I think one of the very first things we need to address is that in the year of our Lord 2026, they can still mute their own body cams, which, while I understand from a privacy standpoint, there's at least a supervisor, a liaison, and specifically a FOIA request supervisor or handler, somebody who literally handles those requests specifically, that footage has to go through before it ever reaches the hands of a citizen. So, and that FOIA person has the responsibility to redact anything that actually needs redaction, right? So to say that like they should be able to keep that inch, if you will, that the public and their supervisors have given them, it's just a bit wild to me when it has to pass through so many hands to ever reach someone in the public and possibly put someone in danger anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the biggest thing that should just be nipped right in the bud. And as always, accountability needs to be a whole lot higher. I don't think that's, you know, a secret or a hot take. But yeah, being able to control the body cams at all is crazy. If it's something like they're going to the restroom, they should just take it off and dock it, because they're only supposed to be doing that at the police station anyway. To my understanding, it's where they go to like have their breaks and things. So
yeah.
I just saw a video where.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Taylor.
You're good. You're good. Buddy. Go
I just saw a video where a police officer robbed a drug dealer and took his drugs, and then went back to the police station and overdosed on those drugs in the bathroom. So I
was this a new video?
I don't know.
I know someone who did that 2 or 3 years ago, and then it got followed by an entire department getting another. They got fired or they quit. I can't remember.
That's wild.
Yeah, I'm not sure when it was. It wasn't super recent. If it was, you know, newer than that. But yeah, I think there's a lot of police stations or maybe even states
Appreciate
where they aren't required to wear body cams.
Indeed.
Right.
especially smaller ones, less funded.
Yep.
We're on the body cam topic again.
Kind of. So,
Yep, sure.
so did you, have you heard about, what was it? Yvonne Woods in Colorado, ODJ? Since you missed the stream, you might not know the context there.
No.
So she basically, lost, quote unquote, and didn't give data and things like that in DNA cases for 30 years. Over 1,000 cases have been, corrupted and are under investigation. And so we've been talking about basically just corruption in general. And then we got to talking about how body cams don't really help with corruption. I mean, they're trying to, and I see the point, but every time we push more toward AI, it just gives them another leg toward power and force instead of actual justice, right? And then, real quick, Wi-Fi, if you're still in the chat and you still want to try to join, I did just go ahead and upgrade you to newbie. So now you should be able to see the vetting room and be able to join apprentice. I know that it's stupid, frustrating with my Discord because I have it locked down like it is. But anyway, going back to the panel, anybody have anything?
Could I actually just take a 2-second pause on that subject real quick? If you don't mind, Tater. I know it's like a total deviation. But I do just want to say for any...
I'm kidding.
Just completely wrecking the panel. But there's been a lot of new people who have come in and been kind of annoyed with the Discord system. And whilst I totally understand why you'd be like, what in the world? I can only see this and I can only do that. There have been very many infiltrators lately, and I don't mean like ops. I mean like bots and people who want to like praise mushrooms and other inanimate objects as God. Like, I mean crazy people and people trying to spread, corn and things like this. Yeah. Right? Oh, it's been crazy. And so there's a reason for that level of security. And we're also a close-knit community. If you're not a part of the Discord, we encourage you to be. But we're like a big potato family. And so sometimes, we might have conversations out in the open in the public Discord that, we don't want somebody who just joined to see. I think that's pretty fair as well. And so it's kind of a way to both vet people and keep, it's not private conversations. They're not in DMs, but potentially sensitive conversations.
Right.
Not quite to the news, And I think that's fair. But it's really easy to level up, just react to some messages, talk back and forth. You can do it in a day, no problem. So, just saying.
Yeah, I've tried to make it so that it's not like it's not like 2 months where you're having to go through a vetting process for a long period of time, but you do have to be active for a good amount of time so that we understand who you are and your purposes behind joining my Discord. Because like she mentioned, we've been having a lot of bots coming in, and the bots are getting around the moderators somehow on the other Discords, and I just don't want to deal with it on mine. So, like, for example, I'm part of the Coolverse, Cool Vic. If you don't know his stream, go check that out too. But his Discord is kind of more open, and so the bots will come and they'll just flood the channels with like pornography or try to get you to buy something or something like that. And if you click on that, then they can access your account and things like that. And so us mods do everything we can to ban them and delete their messages. But for some reason, the last couple that have joined, when we ban them, it doesn't delete their messages. And I don't know if it was something that had happened on Discord side, Vic's side, what had happened there, but we didn't have the capability of deleting the messages either. And so they would just sit there and wait for the owner to come along and delete them. And so I can't do that. I can't do that to my community. I can't do that to my channel. So I've locked it down extremely tight. So please bear with me and have some patience if you join, but everybody's welcome. Everybody's welcome to speak their piece. Static Age, you started to come in at some point and I think you got cut off. Did you have anything to say?
Oh, my apologies if I did.
You're okay. You're all right, buddy.
Not about that. would you like me to bring it back to the subject we were talking about?
Whatever you'd like to talk about. Go for it.
So I only glanced through one of those articles that you had in the description, and I missed the first part of the stream.
Gotcha. Okay.
So the basic gist of this is that this woman falsified reports and deleted certain things, and they caught her in the act.
Yeah. Excuse me. So basically, what I'd gathered, and it's fairly extensive. But what I'd gathered is like she would just like when she'd find in like assault cases, when she'd find male data, DNA, she would just redact that information so that she wouldn't have to go and testify, and it would just be washed away. In other cases, she would delete DNA data so that she wouldn't have to testify. Those kinds of things. She was just being extremely lazy in her job, is what it boils down to, from what I'm gathering.
Okay. And they haven't found any any cases that where they were falsely imprisoned yet, right?
Well, so there was one case that was so it's funny because when I look on like AI and shit, it says there have been no cases. But when I was doing my own research, I found a case that said that this gentleman was released from prison and had lost this time with his kids and would never get it back. So that indicates that there have been, and it's more likely going to be seeing more as we go along.
Right.
Okay. I personally wonder if new information has come out lately, because that is what I had last heard as well. However, I had bookmarked an article earlier when you sent out in Discord that this is what you were going to be doing, that says she worked at CBI from 1994 to 2023 and became a frequent expert witness, testifying more than 600 times in high-profile deletion
Stacey,
and essay cases.
It's a big joke.
Yeah, that's not a good thing at all. How do
No, obviously. Go again. I think I talked over you. Sorry.
How do they even let this happen? There's no way this should ever be able to even start to happen.
Well, we're not a cult, but you're welcome
I can
to join
actually
whatever
tell
you
you how something like this happens, although it's not going to be a satisfying answer. Somebody like her has to go to school for many, many years to get qualified to do what she did, right? Handling DNA for crimes, you know what I mean? It's not some entry-level data clerk anywhere else, especially for the FBI, right? Not only do you have to get a lot of education, but you have to go through a lot of vetting and, security checks, et cetera, et cetera. So this is somebody who, by the time she was in her job, had already basically had every check you could imagine, especially working for the FBI. And they had no reason to not trust her, I would imagine, right? Positions like hers, once you start having any type of complaint or there's a case that you mismanage, especially if it's in the public eye, but even if it's not, these are types of things that almost immediately earn you a demotion, less security allowances, etc. So my guess is she was just completely independently and very sneakily, she either worked alone or, didn't delegate part of a case she was actively working on to anyone else so they could figure it out. And she must not have gotten very many complaints because it would have been checked into at some point. And, like I said, it's not a satisfying answer because regardless, it should have never happened. But unfortunately, you got to think about it. When she's in this position, how would she have been stopped or caught if never a family complains and say none of her work is ever independently tested or verified? Like, how else would we have ever known that, right?
It kind of seems like it's way too much power in one person's hands, and no one checking their work.
That's funny.
Agreed. Completely agreed. And in fact, in the state of Tennessee, I'm about to do a video at some point. I've been saying that for about a month and a half.
Yeah, I love my emojis.
Our local TVI has gotten in a little bit of hot water, I shall say, but the TBI themselves gotten quite a few of our local police departments in trouble because they have been pulling people over and arresting them for DUIs that they were not guilty of. It's been all in the news. They call it like a sobering problem, a sober DUI. There's been like many news stories on it. I'm not sure how
That's
like
right.
national
I remember now. Yeah.
the news has been, but at least locally. And so far, they have found over 2,000 people that this has happened to within like 4 or 5 years. So
That's crazy.
I mean, that just and that was basically
No worries.
off of
You don't have to join Discord if you don't want to.
like a reward system. I
That's
can't think of a word,
ridiculous.
but
That's absolutely horrible.
Like they were getting compensated for every DUI they had.
well, not necessarily directly, but like the funding. It's just like they don't have quotas. That's the word I was thinking of. Well, it's like
Gotcha.
any cop will tell you, they don't have direct quotas, right? They don't get a system of like, you get a bonus if you hit 300 DUIs or 300 pullovers or whatever. But if they do, they're quicker to get promotions, they're quicker to get raises,
Mhm.
they're going to get more funding. So it's not a direct quota, but it is an incentive.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I kind of imagine something like this would be similar, right? I don't imagine this lady stayed in one position the entire time she was with the FBI, right? I'm sure she got raises. I'm sure she got promotions, probably because she did such quote unquote good work.
I just can't believe like how I don't know. People say it's not corruption, it's just laziness, but I think it's a combination of both, and I just can't believe how it just goes unchecked.
Oh no, it's most definitely corruption. And this
Even if it's laziness, it's still corruption. It doesn't really matter
right.
what the motivation for it is.
Well, I can agree, and I also
They should look into if there was ulterior motive too, like if you have a
Right.
relationship with any of her coworkers or any of them affiliated with a gang or know anyone on the inside, like stuff like that. And
Well,
I think
yeah,
especially with females working in like police stations and stuff, like this, especially check into like just with opposite sex working with each other, or even when it's not the opposite sex, but especially like they should look into heavily like just their
Well, I
dynamics.
think we should be vetting everyone pretty heavily. And in fact, I think cops belong.
Someone trustworthy, but even then, even if you vetted that they're trustworthy, you know, are you vetting how they are around every person?
Well, that's pretty hard to do, though. I'm not really sure of the system you'd be able to vet.
Well, like in San Francisco, or I don't know, in California, how Kamala Harris was directly connected to cartels and was letting all the cartel people off. Like she would let the little guys go to prison for like 10 years and they were just like selling dime bags or whatever. But the actual cartels that were employing these little street dealers, she would let them go completely. And this was happening years and years and years.
That's likely because they were either being paid off. Hold on 1 second, please. It was probably 1 second, please. 1 second, please. It's probably because they were either directly being paid off, or she knew that by turning out these little guys, there's a lot more little guys than there are big fish, right? And so they were going to keep making money off of them in the legal system, just because there's more of them. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about.
Yeah,
right.
she was being paid off.
Real quick,
and just real quick to go back to your
Craig's been trying to come in for a minute. Let him have the floor for just a second.
Yeah, and I was saying before, like I don't think women should be police force to begin with, but at the bare minimum, if we're going to do that, then the cross-checking as far as what is their relationship to their coworkers and other things. But also, like even if you look at it, which I know there's a different country, you guys seen that more recent case where some white kid was getting jumped by some blacks. Then the female police officer like slammed the white kid against the wall and arrested him as soon as he defended himself.
Right. Right.
Like,
yeah, just in Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a humiliation ritual. Because although, like, I'm not saying, like, it's only embarrassing to get dominated by a woman, but there's some slight similarities and differences, no matter between that happening from a man or a woman. Like, for women being the cops, it's kind of more humiliating for them to have such lack of sympathy or empathy for the white victims, while simultaneously, basically the favoritism, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I agree with what you're saying about women not being cops, but I think in the UK it's a bigger problem. I think it's very widespread. It's not just the female police that are doing things like that.
Right.
You even see like on trains, the conductor doesn't even ask migrants for their tickets. They only ask the natives. It's a widespread problem that goes even farther than the police and women police.
Yeah, it's anti-whiteism infecting, like, and that other thing too. Like, it's not even just like specific people in each institution saying, make this anti-white. Like, it's infected the culture and people thinking so much that it just like incidentally like down to systematically like all their institutions, especially in the UK. But I mean, it's still infected here in the US. But it's just, I guess you're right, the UK is much worse. Like, I've seen it really bad in the UK, in most of their country, pretty much all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really need to take a look at what's going on over there to make sure we stand up and don't let that happen over here. Like, I can't believe how many people just go along to get along.
Seriously, though.
They know what's right. They don't stand up for it. And they just go along to get along. Just like, put on your mask. And it's like, I don't understand that kind of thinking. And I'm not sure if it's like just because everybody's super programmed or what. But it just really freaks me out because it's like, dude, how is this happening? How is it happening? I just don't understand.
It's a psychological framework. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
That's just saying, it's a psychological framework people's been raised like their whole lives. So they'll know something's wrong subconsciously, some even kind of consciously, but just not know how to freaking go about it. And a lot of it's psychological, and some of the brain being able to do something's part of it's knowing what to say and do, and another's getting in the physical habit of actually doing it repetitively out in the world. And a lot of people, I
think that's true. And it's also true that it kind of comes from this woke mind virus, if you will. Like I did once upon a time a presentation on immigration. And at the end, I was kind of, because everybody in the comments was asking the same thing, and I knew that it would be a thing. And I put a picture up of these like refugees that had come in, and they were like dirty and crying, and it was an entire family, right? And I'm like, this is what the woke people see. When they think of immigrants, this is what they see. And then I had like 82 pictures of mugshots of illegal immigrants. And I'm like, this is what conservatives see. This is the difference. So I think that, and I mean, even there's a lot of people that day, they were like, oh my gosh, you're totally right. Like, because I have both, lefties and righties in the chat, and they're like, you're right. And that's what it is. But you're programmed on the left to have a toxic level of empathy for people. Like, be darned if it hurts me. I care more about you, right? So I think that's what begins it.
Right.
Yeah, I get in immigration fights all the time because I'm in Mexico because of the immigration system and how screwed up it is and how anti-illegal I am. And I married an illegal. So that was over 20 years ago. But we did all of his paperwork. We sent them all the money. But Obama changed laws. And basically, since he came over, he had to go back 10 years before we could get paperwork. He was a teenager when he came over, so he wasn't like, I mean, He was a
In
stupid
control.
idiot. Yeah, he was a stupid idiot, and he had just lost his mom, and so he was like, "Yeah, I'm down for the adventure." He was in the process of getting his visa, and he had 2 months left, and so his mom dies, and he's like, "Well, I'm gonna go have an adventure and cross with the coyotes." I don't know what his thought process was, but whatever. And I was already in love before I knew he was not legal. And so I was like, well, we'll just fix paperwork or whatever. And we had 4 kids, mind you, at the time. And they said, nope, you have to go back. And I'm like, he's the sole provider, all this stuff. And so I was like, okay, I guess we're going back because I'm not going to stay married to an illegal. That's nope, I'm not going to do it. And people come at me and tell me how I need to have a heart for these illegal people. And I'm like, you have no idea what you're talking about. You have no idea the immigration process and all of these things. So don't come at me with your liberal bleeding heart to say, oh, we need to help these people. Most of the people coming over here are not good people. Most of them.
Yeah.
My husband said,
and the numbers show that.
Yeah, it's true. It's so true. My husband said that he believes that about 90% of the illegal immigrants, especially when he crossed, are not good people. They are criminals coming over to escape the whatever. And
The punishment in their own country, which is
Yes.
usually worse than even an American punishment for illegal border crossing. 100%.
Yes, that's exactly it. And so it drives me nuts because I am super right. I am super anti-illegal. And people are like, well, you married an illegal. I'm like, yeah, well, that tells you that I have a deeper understanding of all of this stuff. So
I'd be like, well, I used to do drugs. I wouldn't recommend you do drugs either. So
Exactly.
I'm not saying you do.
Like there are things sometimes in life that we do and we're like, let's not do those things. It would be
Perpetuate
better.
that.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I love that you actually stuck by the right thing and did the right thing. That's very admirable. I was sharing with everybody some of the latest statistics. SCAP just did some polling and a metadata analysis a couple like 3 or 4 months ago now, and a lot of people haven't seen it. So even a lot of conservatives are still pushing this point, like illegals are 5 times less likely to commit crimes. However, what SCAP went into places like California and Texas and went through their criminal records, they learned they're actually almost 10 times more likely to commit crimes than either a legal immigrant or an American citizen. And this is, to me, totally not surprising. But it's also really interesting because in this data, ICE was able to identify that these people were in fact illegal, mostly because they had a criminal record in their country of origin. That's how they do it the quickest.
Mhm.
So that exactly proves your point.
Yeah. And we can come back now, but we have a house, we have a dog rescue, we're living okay. My health has improved significantly because of the food here, because of the no chemtrails. Like, I'm okay here. And maybe someday we'll come back, but I don't know. I unless they can clean everything up and we can get restrictions on food, and I just don't see it happening. And I think it was probably the biggest gift God could give me to have to move down here. So
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I might have heard somebody trying to come in there for a second. I'm not sure if there was somebody get cut off. Okay. Yeah, it's getting crazy, especially in the freest country in the world. We are not really free to eat healthy. We're not really free to breathe healthy. We're not really free to drink healthy. I don't know how we consider ourselves free in entirety. I don't disagree that we're one of the most free countries in the world. I'll never dog on America. I fucking love America, but it can be better, right? Everything can be better, and we this idea of complacency has got to stop somehow.
Mm-hmm.
You can love the country and not be happy with the government.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I recently went on a whole rant about freedom and liberty. I think a lot of people just repeat them like political slogans and don't really understand what they're talking about.
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I love being American, and my husband loved being in America. And I would say he's probably more American than a lot of people because he's far right too. So it's, I don't know. It's crazy because we both love.
What does that mean?
Huh?
What does that mean? What does that mean? More American?
More American, more like okay, because like the leftists, they hate America. They hate everything about America. They think it's racist. They think and he's like, I totally will sign away any Mexican citizenship to be American. Like he would have joined the military. Like he loves America. So it's like if you're taking a leftist and my husband, it's just a complete difference. He's far right. Like he may have been born over here, but his heart is American.
It's fair. Curious where ODJ went.
Yeah, I don't want any Mexicans or foreigners here. I don't care what their political leanings are. No offense.
Personally, I'm fine with allies, of Western kind and stuff like that. And allies, I wouldn't go as
Sunshine,
far as
it's good to see
naming
you.
abstract
Appreciate the engagement.
concepts makes something American.
Hold on.
You have to pay for American, but because really culture's race of people's biospiritual expressions projected on their environment.
Oh, I think she was saying she needed to go somewhere. Thought I heard her say something, but okay. Yeah, I don't know, especially with the way that the immigration is sitting today. We definitely need to go back to ground zero, as close to it as we can get it, and work our way back. Oh, I got you, Stacy. You're good. So we really need to be aware of what is best for the people that built the country that we're residing in, whether that be America, whether that be Africa, wherever it is. You need to be aware of who built that country and put it into the position that it is in. And you need to be respectful of that. And they're not being respectful of that anymore, if they ever really were, right? So at this point in time, I don't know exactly how I feel about immigration, but if we want them, and I've mentioned this on multiple occasions, if we want them, they're going to be beneficial to our infrastructure or something along those lines. And in that case, why can they not be beneficial to their infrastructure, their economy, their government, building them into something that's worthwhile for us to want to go and mooch off of? Right? Why are we always the ones who are getting mooched off of? That's the part that I don't understand. And I'm not saying that, all of them are bad, but if especially like I've mentioned before, if they're religious and their religion is telling them to go and deceit, and lie to get into power, how in hell are you ever supposed to believe anything that they ever tell you? At which time you can't allow them in. So where does that line get drawn, like we were discussing on Thursday's panel, and nobody really knows? But that's what needs to be found in agreements of, so that everybody understands it on the logical level, right? Sunshine says racism is anti-white narrative wrapped up into the anti-white slur. And that's pretty much it. Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. It's getting wild, and like Static Age said, we can love our country, we can love what we did for ourselves in the country without loving the government that doesn't seem to have our best interests at heart. And no matter what happens, Trump is a better candidate than Kamala was, or Kamala, or whatever her name was pronounced like. But even he has his faults, has his things that he does that I don't agree with, that other people don't agree with. They're only human. But we also have to understand that they're human, so they need to be watched carefully. So like I'd mentioned on one of my Thursday streams, where it's Trump derangement syndrome. Do we have Trump delirious syndrome, or so point that you don't care what he does because he's better than Kamala? We need to be
it goes both ways.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, Taylor.
No, you're good, man. I appreciate you cutting in. That's just it, is it goes both ways. And we need to start to understand that. And where I do agree with Trump, because he is the president, he is the pilot of the plane that we're all on. There are some things that he's doing that I am very disappointed in. And we need to start questioning those kind of things.
Yeah, he's kind of failed to deliver on a lot of promises.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And
Wi-Fi.
I think it's
feel free to.
I think it's okay to call that out. I really don't understand the whole.
It's a good question, Beatrix.
Inability to criticize certain things. You can still vote for somebody and criticize things that they do.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, even I obviously I wasn't alive during the time, but JFK, I think he was probably the last best president. I don't know, but up till Trump or whatever, right? But long story short, even he had probably things that people disagreed with, that he had to make in the privacy of the Oval Office, that people were like, yeah, that wasn't a good plan. But when in reality, do they know what's going on behind the doors of the Oval Office? I sure don't, right? And so I'm trying to give grace where grace is due, but have that understanding, that discernment to know where it's not due. And we need to be starting to hold our representatives, our public servants, hold them accountable again.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of tribalism in our political system. I'll give you an example. Like people always say that, so and so is on our side, even if you disagree with him on a lot of things, they're still on our side. You shouldn't, challenge them or whatever. And there's a lot of homosexuals who voted for Trump. They aren't on my side. Sorry.
Fair. It's fair.
That's just an example, but I see a lot of things like that where they're on our side. Well, not really. I mean, just because they voted for Trump, that doesn't necessarily put them on my side.
True. Yeah. They just saw the train wreck that the other person was going to cause too, and so they chose the lesser of the two evils as well. That doesn't necessarily mean that your views align or your end goal aligns, and that's the concern, especially with the Overton window expanding so greatly like it has in the last couple of years. It's hard to know who's really on your side. Welcome in, Kyle. Appreciate the engagement. Ask not what can your country do for you, but what you can do for your country, right? I think that's how the saying goes. Thank you very much for the engagement, Kyle. As always, good to see you, man.
Kyle is a legend.
Heck yeah, he is. Pretty sure he's been a good dono a couple of times too. And shout out to anybody that's donated in the past. I know that I don't always see it at the time, but thank you very much for everything that you guys do for me, this channel. Building the platform that we have here to allow these people to speak their piece, speak their mind. I know that Static Age has his own show. Please go give him some love. Good free thinkers are hard to find these days, and we need to make sure we're propping them up where we can. So be aware. If I'm not your cup of tea, maybe he is. If he's not your cup of tea, maybe I am. But that's the point of all the different voices, right? Sunshine says Japan is our ally as a nation, and Japanese are our allies as an ethnic group. They usually even side with us over our ethnicities within their own race, like the Chinese. It's interesting.
Japanese are honorary whites, in my opinion.
That's fair. It's fair. Yeah, I don't know many, but the ones that I've always known, or the ones that, you know, again, rare, but the ones I have known have been extremely honorable, respectful. A lot of the things I try to take is from the Japanese culture because of the honor that they have. Wi-Fi says Japan loves us. That's good. All right. So,
Yeah, I agree with
go
that.
ahead, Craig.
No, just saying I agree with that.
That's fair.
Japanese.
It's fair. Yeah, definitely our allies, and much appreciated on that one for sure. So yeah, I don't know exactly what else I would want to talk about per se, but you're free to speak your mind on anything outside of the topic that we were talking about too.
I get just the subject we were talking about up until the chat, or you're talking about outside the subjects in the chat.
Yeah, just anything at all. Like I said, I opened up the panel to talk about the topics that I was talking about, but I don't know exactly anything that I would say to talk about right now. Like we've talked about everything that I was kind of leaning toward talking about. Of course, if anybody wants to join the panel, we can always bring it back to those topics. But since the five of us have talked about that, we're welcome to take it anywhere. If you guys have something like, oh, that sparked this in me or something like that, I'd be happy to talk about anything.
Which I've went over some of what she's talking about, Sunshine, and chat on like or Gab and Twitter and stuff. It is pretty interesting. I think before, which I looked into a little more. I think she was talking about the like censorship or something. How a lot of Japanese manga artists, which manga is just like it's their type of style of comics, and that's where pretty much all quote unquote anime comes from like just a show based off of some manga.
Right.
But like over there, they're high censorship, but so only like their original releases for stuff, the uncensored version, they can only air over here in some Western countries, mostly over here in the US. And the crazy part's not just that they're using their our free speech, it's that they're able to use it from a country while residing in a country that they're not allowed to air it, and do that with simultaneously aired over here. So we're like their only market. A lot of people, and there's other variables too, like, you know, like mistranslations when they don't hire someone in-house to do the translation and it gets screwed up. And they also, but if you know, a lot of anime and manga gets a lot of their influence and inspiration from Western culture, from aesthetics to just cultural habits of their characters and different things. And a lot of the institutions that do a lot of the censoring and the restory writing and changing their art happen to be anti-white institutions too. So that's another variable. It's like if a lot of their art's not just they're going to censor not just their culture, but also the very culture that they're also showing allyship and showing like a lot of love for in their art are anti-white. But they're obviously going to change that. But a lot of people are trying to like subvert it to trying to be like, because I don't disagree with people saying like, oh, we'll keep anime and manga Japanese, but a lot of people try to take that message and make it sound like these anti-white institutions that they don't want to get a hold of their art are quote unquote westernizing. It's like, it's not westernizing if the same institutions doing it are anti-white too, you know? And they do the same with our art.
Yeah, the Western comic books have become extremely leftist, you know, woke, anti-white, and it's probably those same people that are importing the Japanese stuff over here.
I mean, a lot of things which, I don't know, because I want to support more Western artists, and there's some still over here, which I do, and there's some like smaller networks, you know, of artists in those spheres, but it's just it's ironic. It's just like you'll find more anti-whiteism in art, a lot of art over here than from over there. So that also puts like people, people who appreciate Western culture and just want to watch something without that anti-white infection, or even better yet, like just something to just look at that they kind of feel in harmony with in some way.
Fair.
Which, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'd rather like look at an anime appreciating Western culture than something that came from the West, but that's undermining it and like mocking it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
But the other thing too, I mean, I'd say there's less corporate infection overall too, for the most part. But I'm not going to say totally. But as far as what you can find from over there, but then they have another thing, which is a funny. It's a bit. There's a lot of stuff over there that we wouldn't allow. That's, I agree, we shouldn't allow. But their justification is like, well, we censor everything. And even the stuff that we do allow, the uncensored version here, we see and we're like, oh, that looks a little crazy, but also take in consideration we're not censoring it. So from their point of view, it's like a little less raw. But for us, we're like, well, if you're going to allow it, well, if it's something that has to be censored, we just shouldn't allow it to begin with. You know what I mean? I don't feel like specifying like what, but there's a little, like, there's some stuff over there like that's a little weird. I'm like, okay, we shouldn't allow that type of anime, but
Fair. Yeah, not sure. Leia, are you still around?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay.
I was just listening. I didn't have anything to add.
You're good.
With
You're
anime,
good.
I can't even get
Yeah,
the animes correct.
Yeah, I don't watch much anime. I like some of the older ones, but that's about it.
I like art in general, but like I got more into anime when a friend showed me Berserk. And then we watched the whole anime, and then I got the first volume of the manga, and I started getting into other animes.
Yeah, I could go back to my point that I had a minute ago, Tater. If we're kind of
we're free floating.
Lull in conversation.
We're just kind of free floating at this point. Go for it.
Okay, yeah, I was going to make a point a few minutes ago, and I almost forgot it there, but quite a few minutes ago we were talking about corruption within the police, and what was the question? Oh, it was a question from Stacy, who said she wonders if it's true corruption or basic laziness, which I take to mean, is this really a systematic problem, like the entire system of policing, or at least within certain departments? Or are certain police bad?
I totally agree that the system is completely corrupt, but in certain situations, is it just laziness, or was it corruption?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I for sure.
I don't trust nothing. I think everything is corrupt.
Yeah, I don't blame you there. And I think there's certainly, it's like that saying, there's always a few bad apples, and sometimes even one can ruin the bunch. I think that that's very true. However, I do think there's also an element, I've talked about this once or twice, of this thin blue line nonsense, in my opinion, where cops are trained. I mean, at this point, we know they are trained this way, and kind of also develop this brotherhood, if you will, because they're serving with people, this want and need and desire to stand up for each other and protect each other, kind of at all costs.
That's wild,
right?
isn't it, Wi-Fi?
So even if they see each other do something wrong, they're a lot more reticent to report it or do anything about it. And I feel like most, at least I'd like to believe, most cops get into it because they want to help people and do the right thing and protect the community. However, I think it's easy in a system to get kind of jaded when you see such horrible things every day.
Yeah.
And I could understand how you would become corrupt in that way. Not like stealing and doing the drugs. Not that way, but in a way of like not reporting bad cops. Because I mean, if you want to report your partner or this other guy on your force, and everybody, gives you a side eye or, threatens to end your career if it's a boss or whatever for reporting this. I've heard stories of cops that did report, and their commanding officer, if they had just come to them in person or perhaps written it down, I mean, they'd rip it up in their face. Like, I'm not doing anything with this. So I could definitely understand how that would become, disheartening.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
I've
look at government whistleblowers that get thrown in prison for years for exposing corruption. It's a similar kind of thing, even with local police forces.
Yeah, and I've known cops that'll just quit because they can't do anything, and if they report something,
Right on, Sunshine. Appreciate the feedback.
they're gonna get in trouble. So a lot of my friends that were cops have just quit.
It's fair.
Going back to what you said, I think even doing something out of laziness is still corruption. It doesn't really matter what the motivation for it is. It's the end result.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
So this lady, even if she was doing all of this out of laziness, it's still corruption, and she should be, she should be in prison.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, I agree with that for sure. If anything,
she needs a lot more prison time.
Yeah,
she needs a lot more prison time than she's getting. Like, I don't care that she's old. I don't care that she's just a lady. No, she messed up big time,
Dude.
and she needs to be punished.
Yeah, I fully agree. If it was negligence, if it was like out of spite, then I don't know, maybe it would be worth more than it because it was just negligence. But the fact that it was just negligence is just, it almost just makes it worse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and apparently she was just caught by a fluke. That's what I'd put in some of the information I posted, and it just so happened to be one case where somebody noticed one discrepancy, and thank God they actually followed up.
Did you not watch the stream? Jeez.
Listen, yes, I did, but I admitted at some point I fell out,
It was an intern that caught it off of I think it was a sexual case, because there was no male DNA reported, but he found the male DNA in it. And so it became, why wasn't the male DNA reported? And then it became an actual investigation. So yeah, it's crazy.
Yes,
it's
indeed.
crazy.
And I'm sorry I missed you.
You're fine. You're fine. I'm giving you a hard time. I just don't want people thinking that I didn't say it, because I did. I'm just kidding. Anyway.
Salute, sir. I am sorry. It just, to me, is so wild. Like, what if she hadn't have found that and she was still working there today? And
exactly.
I mean, if it's true she testified on 600 cases, Lord have mercy. How many people are behind bars that shouldn't be because of her? And now, just the way the system works, right? Every single one of those cases is going to have to be independently removed or reviewed. So we're about to see a domino effect happen.
Yup. Big time. That's why I say, like, this is big. I don't know if people understand. This is like a judge or a DA being indicted. This is big.
Yeah, it's pretty up there.
For 30 years.
Of all the corruption.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, for 30 years, she's had access to this and had no oversight. So for 30 years, like you said, 600 cases with 1,045 in question at this point in time. That's massive.
That is massive. And that's what I was just about to say. I've seen a lot of corruption cases like this where it's a single actor that has just really volleyed it up. I don't know that I've ever heard of a case that has this many, and I've heard of like hundreds, but 1,000? I don't know if I've ever seen a case where it affected this many, indictments and convictions. I mean, that's just wild. I think they're going to have to go back and go through every single one of those, and they're either going to have to retry the case completely, or they're going to have to prove if they still have evidence, the DNA evidence physically, because for a lot of crimes they actually keep evidence for at least for a very long time, right? Maybe not forever. And so if they still have any of the actual physical evidence, then they will most likely review it again, analyze it again, which is also, we're already behind in every field office across the country with analyzing DNA, DUI, and other things related to cases. That's one of the problems with my DUI stuff. I was talking, with Tennessee's DUI problem I was talking about earlier. But they're going to have to go through and analyze whatever data they still have. And if it's either been destroyed or, they can't find it or whatever the case may be, they're probably going to just retry the entire case, which is really a shame.
Yeah.
So it's going to tax all the other local systems.
Well, so like I'd mentioned, there's a lot of, not maybe a lot, but there's some cases that are going to be overwhelming with the other evidence. And they don't need to necessarily retry those, but I wouldn't even say half are going to be that. I wouldn't even say like even 30%. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, this is just speculations from a potato, but I don't really think that it's going to be very many cases that are going to be overwhelmingly already taken care of. And majority of those cases are going to have to be addressed. And how many of those then cases are going to cause a cascading effect, a ripple effect to other cases? Well, if that wasn't true, then what about this case? What if they were going off of this case for this case, right? You constantly hear, according to case such and such versus the state, this happened, so I can play it this way. Right? That constantly happens in courts. So how many people are going to be able to do that?
I didn't think about that. If there's any cases that set precedent just from her work, that would be, bad.
Yeah, that's why I say people, I don't think they understand how massive this really boils down to.
Well, and it also is just another thing that's going to make people distrustful of the justice system generally, right? Like, it's the last thing that we really need is something else that makes people not want to trust the cops and all that. Not that I'm saying that you should, but we have enough of a divide as is between police officers and citizens. We didn't need any help.
Yeah. Yeah, I already don't trust pretty much anything when it comes to government. The justice system, anything. Like, because what has happened to me personally, but also what I have seen from everything, friends, family, things like that. Like, I just don't trust that they don't want the truth. They just want to close the case. And that is my experience. So it's just another thing on top of everything to make people not trust anything. And I think that is something that they want. I think they want that.
Maybe. I partially agree with what you're saying. I do believe that there are, DAs out there and prosecutors and even people like this that are working to collect evidence, etc. And yes, even still cops that are trying to do the right thing and that do still care about justice.
There's some. Yes. There are.
Yes.
I do know.
However,
I do know good people, but yeah.
Right. However, because of this kind of system-wide, I think it has to do with the corruption. I think it also has to do with, like I mentioned, we're just short-staffed. Everyone is, from police stations all the way up to the FBI, right? Everybody does not have enough people to, properly take care of these cases. So they're swamped. Social work, same way. You have 1,000 cases and you're not even allowed to have overtime, right? So your cases are going to suffer. I think we see that in the legal system as well, often.
Yep.
About to head out real quick. I'm about to head out. I have something I have to do real quick. But I appreciate you guys having me. I'm probably going to jump on another time. I'm going to probably still tune in here and there, though.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You're always welcome back, man. I appreciate the engagement when you can, for sure.
Yeah, it was fun and productive too and stuff. I'm also just getting back into, getting, talking to people on streams and stuff.
Oh yeah. I feel
but
you.
I'll tune in here and there still, but I just have something I got to take care of. It was great talking to you guys though.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Never go on.
Like I said, appreciate you coming on and you're welcome back anytime. Have a blessed night, man.
All right. Thank you guys.
Uh-huh.
I actually have to head out as well. Thank you for having me up as always, Tater. It's great talking to all you guys, and God bless.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. Again, I always appreciate you coming on and engaging. If you want to shout your channel out, you're welcome to before you go. But
that's okay, man.
Fair. No, I appreciate it, man. Again, always good to see you, buddy. Take care of yourself, and God bless you, man. All right, and was there anything else we wanted to talk about? I mean, we can wrap it up if we want. It doesn't look like there's many people that want to engage with the open panel tonight, which is fine. Still the holiday weekend. People are still camping and stuff, I'm sure. But you guys have anything else you want to say?
Yeah. I think people are exhausted.
Crash, good to see you. Good to
from
see
their
you.
holiday, mostly, right?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Hungover and stuff, I'm sure.
Amen. I'm good. I know I was sorry I was late. I'm grateful to have been able to engage, and I actually had not heard about this story, and usually I get pinged with anything regarding police, so I appreciate you bringing it to my attention because I really had no idea.
Right on. Yeah, I'm kind of glad I was able to get the jump on this. Vosh said kind of the same thing. He's like, I usually have my ear to the ground on this kind of stuff, and I didn't hear about it. And so I'm glad I was able to bring this awareness to people. Hopefully we can share this out and it get some views and some engagement. We can get maybe some subscribers from it and things like that, since it's a different subject. But I appreciate it for sure. Was there anything
Thank you
else?
as always.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
No, I think I'm good. Y'all make sure to subscribe to the Tatermeister here and support him financially if you are able, because he is such a great spud. And God bless.
I appreciate that. Yeah, and if you want to shout your channel out, you're welcome to. Homestead just dropped it in the chat, so they've got the link. If nothing
They see
else.
you. Y'all come hang out if you want.
That's fair. Yeah, go check her channel out. She does awesome work too. When she has the time, we'll be doing some collabs and stuff like that to try to get her channel back up to where it needs to be. But I appreciate you, Leia. As always, you're
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Appreciated member of my community. God bless you. Have a good night. You're always welcome.
Thank you. God bless you, Tater.
Have a good one.
And Stacy.
And then Stacy, was there anything you wanted to shout out or anything you wanted to tell the audience? You had
Not
mentioned,
really.
You had mentioned being on a podcast. Did you want to say anything about that?
I'm not exactly sure when
no worries.
We're going to be doing that, but yeah, I'll post it in the Discord if anybody's interested.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Definitely
so thank you
post
for
it.
having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you coming on. I've been hoping that you'd get a chance to get onto one of my panels, so I appreciate you getting on. Definitely drop that into the chat, the Discord, and I will probably cover it. Like you had mentioned, maybe next Sunday for you or something like that. So, and then maybe bring you up to talk about it if you'd want. So if you have time next Sunday, maybe I'll bring you back up or something. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for having me. I definitely need the practice. I have been so scared or something. I don't know what's been holding me back, but something's been like making me afraid to get on panels or whatever. So I'm really grateful to be able to practice being in front of people. So
for sure.
I definitely will be coming back up whenever I get the chance. And thank you.
Nice. Heck yeah. No, that's exactly why I started the channel, is to help people just like you that want to be back out in the public or want to get out in the public, have a training ground. So if there's anything I can do to help anybody in the chat, help you, anything I can do, I'm here for you. So as always, you're welcome back on any panel that I have, and you have a self-blessed night. Okay.
Thanks. Bye.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right, guys. And that wraps up the stream. That was an interesting stream. So like I'd mentioned, I'm glad that I was able to jump on this story a little bit ahead of some people. This was a wild story. It's going to have some cascading effects. So please, I'm going to be clipping this into videos. Please share those videos as they come out. Please engage with my content. Give me comments. Anything I can do to do better, right? If you like the open panel discussions and what's something I can maybe do a little bit better with it, what I can do worse with it, I don't know. But with that being said, I'll let you guys get on with your holiday weekend. And again, as always, thank you so much for being here. You could have been anywhere in the world, anywhere, and you were here on a potato's eye with a potato. listening to the wildest story I've heard in probably a decade. Anyway, please take care of yourselves out there. Remember those Second Amendment rights within the United States, as they will always be your response time faster. Be faster than the police getting to your home. Outside of the United States, please take care of yourselves the best way that you know how. And as always, trying to find my music to play before I sign off. And Christ is God, the King of Kings, and always will be. And you guys have a blessed night. Seriously, thank you for showing up.
They say it's freedom, but it's got a price tag. Working all week just to fill that bag. Bills stack higher than the dreams we chase. And the rich man smile with a poker face. They talk about death like it ain't their fault, while the people line up at the table of salt. How's a free land chained by greed, when the soil itself grows all we need? Why we pay to live when God gave breath for free? Every step we take still costs a fee. They print the cash but we lose the soul, and the rich men spin while the story unfolds. Yeah, tell me why we building a land so free, when the price of truth is a mystery. Paper for power, not love or care. They build new wars while the cupboard's bare. Another loan, another lie, and the flag still waves while the poor ask why. How's a nation rich but broke inside, when the working hands keep it alive? God made the sun, made rain to fall, but somehow we're paying just to have it all. I'm not hating, just contemplating how the system keeps the faithful waiting. They selling hope with a tax attached. Freedom's gate got a code and latch. We're breathing air that we don't own, trying to buy back what we've always known. Why we pay to live when God gave breath for free? Every step we take still costs a fee. We're tired of debts, we're tired of lies, and the rich keep spending while the dreaming dies. Maybe someday we'll finally see freedom ain't cash, it's unity. Till then I'll pray and do my part, keep truth alive in a working heart. Potato soldiers standing tall, turnip generals plotting their fall, spuds in helmets, roots in thrall. It's a rude war, a fight underground, potatoes pound, turnips rebound, clash of the starches, who wears the crown? It's a root to love, shaking the ground. displayed. Who will sprout? Who will decay? In this root fight, no one can say. It's a root war, a fight underground. Potatoes pound, turnips rebound. Clash of the starches, who wears the crown? It's a root war, shaking the ground. Wobble bass bombs and synths that scream, distorted cries in the veggie dream. Mash or stew, there's no in between. The soil shakes, split in the seam. They drew the lines on maps we never made. They lit the fire.